only done. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Wow. Panther fans, what it is. It's your boy Cody Lashton coming back to you with another special edition of the C3 Panthers Podcast, baby. Look, we are going to be showing Frank Reichs' introductory press conference as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. I got the Twitter page. I'm ready to refresh it as soon as this thing goes live. If the YouTube goes live first, I'll be able to hit that first. Hey, man, I'm just pumped. I'm pumped like y'all are, man. I'm ready to see what Frank Reich is all about as a head coach. And your boy's rocking solo dolo today. What's up? I see everybody in the chat room on the C3 faithful C-Dog in the motherfucking building. What's up, C? Dave Hino, John Jenkins, Hampton Howie. What's going on? Matthew 447, Panther Gal. What's up, Panther Gal? Man, we're just excited, man. I'm excited to hear Frank Reich talk about his plans for the Carolina Panthers. You know, this is a brand new era of Panthers football, and now we get to see what our head coach is all about. And yeah, I mean, I hear you, C-Dog. A lot of people are still very upset about Steve Wilkes not being named the head coach, and there's really not much I can tell you, man. It's gonna burn until it's done burning. You know, I would have been super happy if Steve Wilkes would have been the next head coach, but it just wasn't in the cards, man. This organization wanted to go with an offensive mind, and that's exactly what they did. So that'll be interesting to follow. You know, there's so many moving parts to this, you know, about Frank Reich not only being a former Carolina Panther himself, but just everything that goes along with him being, you know, kind of from the Carolinas. It's kind of a homecoming for him. You know, a lot of us are wondering what kind of vision for the offense he's going to have. Is it going to be more of a pass-first offense? Are we going to run in the football like he did with Jonathan Taylor with the Colts? There's really just so many questions to ask. And by the way, you know, I'm rocking solo dolo today. So if I have any hiccups with the volume, or if y'all can't hear me, just let me know, and I'll do my best to monitor the chat. But I don't know. I want to know how y'all are feeling, man. This is just me talking to the C3 faithful. How are y'all feeling about Frank Reich? Are you excited? Do you feel like this is that we're moving in the right direction? Are you kind of waiting to hear what Frank Reich says before you judge him? You know, tell me what you're thinking, man, because I'm excited. I mean, I really am. If you look at all the other candidates that were in line for the job, I think Frank Reich, I mean, well, specifically all the offense coordinators the Panthers had been talking to and interviewing, I just think that Frank Reich was the best guy for the job. That he had the combination of everything you wanted. Not only did he have the pedigree, I mean, the man has a Super Bowl ring. You can't take that away from him. But, I mean, what he was able to do with the Colts and with Carson Wentz, I mean, there was some good things. And I've said on the podcast before, I feel like a lot of people kind of blame Frank Reich for everything that went down in Indianapolis. And I just don't know that that's fair. You know, it takes an entire organization really to agree on who their next quarterback is going to be. And it's going to be that same way this year for the Panthers. You know, they're going to be there. I'll tell you right now, the front office is going to be split about who the next quarterback is. Just like Panther Nation is arguing in favor of C.J. Stroud or Will Levis, or some people saying Derek Carr, or go get Trey Lance or go get Justin Fields. I find that funny because I'll bet you anything that the Panthers organization is also doing the same thing. There are people in the building who want specific quarterbacks over other ones. And that's how it's going to be. When that Joe Person article came out a couple months ago talking about, the Panthers, first off, they really like Justin Herbert. They decided to not trade up for Justin Herbert. Apparently, David Tepper liked Justin Fields a ton. Didn't draft Justin Fields when you had the opportunity. And that's because a bunch of people in the organization were like, well, no, we can go with Sam Darnold. Or no, but let's go and get Baker Mayfield. Put Baker Mayfield on the Carolina Panthers, and who knows what we would be able to do. And I understand the reasoning that goes behind that, but I don't know. I just think that you have to take a swing on talent when you have the opportunity to do so. A lot of people think that this is the year for us to do so. Matthew 447 says, Cody, you think we should draft first? Man, I'm not at the point where I've made up my mind yet. I'm really not, because there's so many options available to us. Like, a lot of people think I'm anti-drafting a quarterback in the first round. And I'm not. I just want them to make the right decision, and I don't want them to have to trade up and give up future assets to go get a quarterback who, I'm a firm believer that all the big four quarterbacks in this year's draft have a lot of very real flaws that they're going to need to iron out and work through, and that they have a lot of questions around them that we're not going to get the answer to fairly soon. So depending on a quarterback to be able to come in the first year and make you a legitimate contender, it just doesn't seem very likely to me. And then on top of that, you're going to give up assets to move forward and then go get that veteran quarterback. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just doesn't sit very well with me, But like I said, the Panthers don't give a damn what I want to do. Not at all. Not at all. So, like I said, if we draft a quarterback, that's part of why Frank Reich is so interesting, because a lot of people feel like if someone is going to be able to get the most out of a young quarterback talent, that Frank Reich is the guy to do it. And I don't know that they're wrong about that. In fact, I would venture to say that they probably are right. And that's why I am a fan of Frank Reich. Nobody thinks Carson Wentz is a good quarterback now, but once upon a time,
Hi, I'm Frank.
Like the MVP of the NFL. So, I mean, it's, you want to give Frank Reich some of the credit for taking a guy like Carson Wentz, and, and even if it was in that 1 year, he was able to get something out of Carson Wentz that most coaches did not and could not. So I'm entitled to believe that this is a good thing. Hey, tell me if y'all can hear this. I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick. The Panthers released this this morning. This is Frank Reich answering questions. Y'all tell me in the chat if you can hear this okay.
Frank Reich, and I'm here to answer a few questions so that you can get to know me as your head coach. Football category. Okay. Do you have any game day rituals or superstitions? Do have a few rituals, certain music. I have a playlist that I listen to in a certain way, put my clothes on in a certain way. As far as playlists, there's really two. There's pregame when I'm driving into the stadium. I like my mind to be at peace, and I listen to Christian music. I listen to one artist I listen to who our whole family loves is Charity Gale. Frank
Reich is a very religious man. he attended seminary here in Charlotte. And it had me, I even went and looked it up. I'm like, what is seminary? Is it a Catholic thing? Is it like a Southern Baptist thing? Apparently, it's just where you go to learn to be, you could learn to be a rabbi at seminary. So apparently, it's for a lot of religious denominations, but spirituality, like a lot of Panther coaches, is something very important to Frank Reich.
The post-game celebration, I do have a playlist of classic rock stuff that I really love to listen to. Boston to Aerosmith to even Kiss, and that's really getting crazy. Like little Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. I mean, like my music taste is quite eclectic. All right, lifestyle.
Bro, imagine if you were just like, yeah, I'll play some Young Thug. I like some OG Outkast. Give me some Kendrick Lamar. That would be cool if you were saying that. But yeah, I guess you can't go wrong with Aerosmith.
Who is your hero and why? For me, my hero was my mom and dad. I just thought really modeled for me what good work ethic is all about, what treating people right is all about, treating every person with dignity and respect. Wild card. Oh, I didn't want to pick this question, but what is your favorite movie? You know what? I'm not ashamed of this. I'm a series guy. I grew up a little bit on the Rocky series. As far as action adventure,
that would have been even better.
I'm kind of in the Bourne series, the Mission Impossible series, the James Bond series. Those all hit the spot for me.
All right, so he's a versatile coach. He likes a little bit of everything. He seems to like the classic rock, and the the Christian music, which, hey, I get that, man. I get that. Man, when I was in high school, pretty much all me and my mom listened to going to church with or going to school rather with some Christian music. Yeah, man, people like that. And look, I do think that there's something to that. A lot of people were kind of making fun of the Panthers because most of the candidates like Frank Reich and Steve Wilkes and what was the other guy that we were going to hire from he just coached for Detroit. Anyway, there were a lot of the candidates were kind of older, so people were like, yeah, of course we're going to go with this old dude. But listen, there's something to be said about the guy that's been around the block, the guy that's been in the NFL, the guy who has, he's been there, done that, man. He knows how an NFL team works. He knows how they become successful. He knows the right ingredients and in order to build up a team in the right way. And that's important, man, because a lot of these young guys are kind of learning on the fly. So, for example, I'll say this. And by the way, what's up to everybody in the chat? We still got more people coming in. My guy, Panther Pickle, what's up? Ben Johnson, Supreme Leader Z, my guy. But, just thinking about the coaches that we could have had, a lot of people wanted Steve Wilkes, and I get that because of what he did this past year. But I think that if you weren't going to go with Steve Wilkes, having a guy who checks every single box is important. It really is important. And by the way, guys, one of the things that I'm learning, everybody kind of felt Sean Payton was the big name during all the coaching hires. But in all honesty, the more you hear about it, everybody kind of viewed the Colts as really dumb for letting this guy go when they did. Like, if you've listened to the other publications talk about this, Frank Reich was considered to kind of be the belle of the ball in this year's coaching search, because he does have a Super Bowl. He wasn't the head coach. He was an offensive coordinator, but he does have a Super Bowl. He does have a resume. He's very well liked amongst coaches and players. Like, I mean, really, this guy was the highest up on a lot of teams' boards to be the next head coach. So I really don't know what the Panthers could have done, better than hiring Frank Reich. If you're going to go in an offensive direction, they could not have done a better job, in my opinion. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm hitting the refresh every few minutes. They're set to go live at 12, so we've got about 14 minutes here until it goes live. But the Panthers never go live on time, y'all. They really don't. Can I just do this? No, I cannot. How about this? Let me play around, y'all. Oh, that's not good. Oh, snap. All right. So now y'all can see your boy while we're sitting here waiting. Y'all want to see my handsome face? Come on now. I'm going to read some of the chat room right here. The price is Reich. Dude, we're never going to hear the end of all these Frank Reich puns. Tony, you know him, Tony and the dad jokes. He already can't get away from it. Every single podcast. Did we make the right decision? Is it the right time for the Carolina Panthers to hire Frank Reich? Dude, I love it. Dad jokes are the best. Jeremy Clancy, what's up? Never. Aw, you're so nice. I don't know if I'd say beautiful, but I do all right. I'm at least a 6. How about that? I'm at least a 6. A strong 6. What's up? Why, Big Jordan, what it is, dude? Yes, I also don't know how long I'm going to be live for. Maybe if there's enough chat participation, I might open up the stream if some people want to come in and their opinions heard. Y'all tell me if y'all want that. If I get enough people requesting to come in and be a part of it, I might fuck around and drop the StreamYard link for y'all. What's up? See, I'm a nice guy, man. I like letting C3 Panther Nation be a part of the discussion. If that's something y'all want, you'll let me know. Kobe Griffin, what's up? Alex Delgado. He says, I love you, no homo. Hey, I love you no matter how you like it. Oh, shit. Your boy's a freak. But no, I like the whammon. I like my whammon, dog. It says, Cody, you should do your own channel talking PrizePicks and predictions. I'm not good enough, man. I don't win enough PrizePicks for me to have my own PrizePicks segment. You need to get your boy White Chocolate Espresso to have his own segment. That dude, he's winning all the time. You know what I mean? I think he's on a bit of a rough streak right now, but he's a lot better than me. Panther Pickle says CJ Stroud or wait. This is kind of funny, Pickle, because once upon a time, none of us wanted the quarterback, right? We all kind of wanted to go best player available, but CJ Stroud has gained a lot of traction. Is it live now? Hold up. All right. Thank you for telling me. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, thanks for telling me that it's live. Yeah, YouTube is a lot better for sharing press conferences. Twitter videos sucks. I don't know if y'all know that or not. Oh, great question, Vol guy. Does Dave or Nicole introduce him? Yeah, I imagine that they would. Normally, whenever you hire a head coach, the owner, they're the ones that introduce them. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe David introduced Matt Rule. So, yeah, I believe so. We should get to see some David Tepper. I wonder if they're going to answer it. That's kind of what I'm wondering, too. David Newton is going to ask him about Steve Wilkes and make everything super awkward. But, hey, man, they're good questions. They need to be answered, A lot of people want David Tepper to answer far more questions he has. Will we get coach speak? Oh, definitely, man. Definitely. Frank Reich comes from an age of coach speak. Like that's what he's gonna do. But I do think that he's a genuine guy. I don't think he's gonna BS anybody. But to a certain degree, every coach kind of does the coach speak type thing. Yeah, I kind of hope he takes some questions, Tyler. I really do hope to hear from David Tepper. I think this has been, such an involved process. I think it would be worthwhile for him to give an opinion on why Frank Reich was the guy, what put him over the edge. I think those are very, very fair questions to have. Chat room talking about Hendon Hooker. Yeah, and apparently Hendon Hooker, this is the Tennessee quarterback, tore his ACL. Apparently he's ahead of schedule too. So he's already getting back to health. Apparently, I don't remember what it's for. Panther Pickle, you have to tell me. But apparently Hendon Hooker is going to be ready for, I don't know, I think it's his pro day or something. I don't know. But Hendon Hooker is ahead of schedule. And a lot of people interested in Hendon Hooker in the second round. People forget Hendon Hooker was in line to win a Heisman. Like, if he hadn't gotten injured, he for sure would have been a Heisman front runner. That goes without saying. Popping bullets. What's up, bro? Either trade up for CJ or just take who's there at 9. Or wait. Like I said earlier, I'm big on Jaren Hall, and he should be there in the 3rd round. So, yeah, now that the season's over, we're into playoff football, I'm starting to look at more and more prospects and delving into their film. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be giving my opinion on most of these dudes. And we're going to be doing some player breakdowns, covering what they do well, what positions are going to be in play for the Panthers, all those different things. We're going to be looking at all of it. Yeah, and that's another thing about Hendon Hooker. I think he already qualifies for an AARP card. He's older. My man's 42 years old out here. So basically, we won't hear from Tepper. I don't know. We could hear from Tepper, or we might never hear from Tepper. So I'm not sure. So Pickle said he'll be ready to throw around March. And yeah, March. So when is the draft is in April. So his pro day will probably be sometime in March. Yeah, we might get a chance to see Hendon Hooker at his pro day, throw the football around. And the dude can run too. Like, I think that's another thing people forget. Hendon Hooker is mobile. Like, the guy can move around. He's fast, has a big time arm. But yeah, man. He can do it all. He's definitely going to get more and more interesting as time goes on, because whether you love him or hate him, some team is going to draft him. That's inevitable. He has too much talent, and whoever picks him up is going to be getting a damn good quarterback. Now, a lot of the criticisms that people levied against Matt Corral, you can also levy against Hendon Hooker, in that they come from a play action pass style offense. It's a college style offense. They game plan a lot of the receivers open. It's what college style, but the NFL is moving that direction too. The NFL is definitely moving in the direction of the play action pass, RPOs, especially since these college quarterbacks coming out, they're doing so much of that. Why wouldn't you incorporate some of that into your offense? We did that a little bit for Cam Newton in 2011. And I have no doubt that we're going to continue to do it. We were doing it last year with Sam Darnold. And I don't know about y'all, but at the end of the year, I felt that was the best Sam Darnold that we had ever seen. That Sam was taking care of the football, choosing when to throw it away, knowing when to take shots downfield. I think he did a lot better. And by the way, speaking of which, let me see if I can pull this up right quick. The Carolina Panthers have also made a few moves. fairly recently. I'll just go ahead and share this real quick. Don't worry, you won't miss a press conference, I promise. But this is big news. Frank Reich and the Panthers will retain James Campen and special teams coordinator Chris Tabor. Now, I love this, man. I mean, look, last year's offensive line was the best offensive line that I think I've ever seen for the Carolina Panthers. Just being real, man. That combination of Ikem Ekwonu, Brady Christensen, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, and Taylor Moton. Dude, we put up rushing records for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, that was an all-time offensive line for us. So, why wouldn't you want to keep the coach that helped orchestrate one of the best offensive lines in the history of the Panthers? And he did it in, 1 year? Like, the dude is so well respected. I think he has such a good chemistry already with the offensive line as it is that, why would you move on from them? It just didn't make a lick of sense. So, I'm happy about that. And I think that speaks to Frank Reich's ability. And I said this to Tony on one of the Tuesday shows, that Frank Reich has an ability to put people in the right positions to be successful, not just on the football field, but in the coaching staff. He can identify talent. He can identify the guys that know how to teach, that know how to build these guys up into better players than they ever have been before. So it's a very important trait. That's a leadership trait. No doubt. And that's what the Panthers are in such a sore need of, is that leadership. Because Lord knows Matt Rule wasn't a leader. Matt Rule bought all of his buddies from Baylor and thought that they were going to mount a successful NFL offense, and it was never going to happen that way. So, and I still think Joe Brady could be a good offensive coordinator one day, but that guy just, it was too much too quick for him, especially with Matt Rule, like being a part of this team. I don't know, man. That dude was kind of doomed from the start. It feels good not to worry about the O-line anymore. Yeah, how about that? It doesn't even seem like we need to draft offensive linemen. For the past, I don't know how many years, the Panthers have needed to draft an offensive lineman, a tackle, a guard. But right now, we seem pretty set at that position. I've said this too before, Salty Cracker. Bradley Bozeman, out of every player on the Carolina Panthers, is the most important player that we need to re-sign this offseason. By far. And I know people are kind of talking about Deontay Foreman, because he did a damn good job this year, and he was running strong and hard. But I don't know. I just think Bozeman and that offensive line are the reason why we were able to run the football so successfully. So if you're going to continue to do that same thing, man, you have to have those offensive line pieces available to you. Shane Falco, dude, I'm a Deontay Brown fan. I remember watching him at Alabama thinking, dude, this guy is an immovable object. So powerful, so strong. And I don't believe he ever got a fair shake under Matt Rule. Just like Terrace Marshall Jr. Terrace Marshall Jr. was a no one when Matt Rule was the head coach. Point that apparently teams were calling, wanting to trade for him, and Panther fans were thinking, what kind of value could you get for trading Terrace Marshall Jr.? And that would have been the dumbest move ever. And then you see what that guy was able to do for the Panthers this past season. I have a feeling Deontay Brown is a similar thing. I know everyone say he was overweight and he had to lose like a bunch of weight or whatever. but some guys just function better playing heavier than others. So I kind of think that's I would love to see Deontay Brown get a shot. And Austin Corbett tore his ACL. So we don't really know the timetable of when he's going to be ready. Oh, shit. Here we go, boys.
In the history comebacks in football history, one in college, Maryland, one with the Buffalo Bills against the then Houston Oilers.
All day long.
All right, I'm going to shut my ass up.
All day long. Let's go. Keep bringing the energy. Keep bringing the energy.
That's what we're talking about. That's the way to go.
And we got your back today, though.
I appreciate that. I got your back, man. I got your back.
Frank Reich, the former Indianapolis head coach, being welcomed across the Queen City. Truly a new era and a new beginning for the black and blue and their fans.
You know, to think that we're here now and having the opportunity to be the head coach of the Panthers, tremendous privilege, honor, responsibility. Just excited, ready to get to work.
Let's go. I'm pumped, y'all. Frank, let me hear it. Let me hear it, Frank.
We all welcome in Frank Reich today, our new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. And what you just saw, those were the first brushstrokes on what is largely a blank canvas. When you hire a new coach, it's a clean slate. It's a barren blank canvas. But that canvas represents possibility. And in his career as a player and a coach, Frank Reich has always shown us what is possible. As you saw in the video, he rallied his college team from 31 down, rallied his NFL team, the Buffalo Bills, from 32 down in a playoff game. We have seen him tasked as the new quarterback to steward a new franchise into a brave new world. We've seen him adapt to circumstances, like when he lost a quarterback in the midst of an MVP season, only to shepherd the backup to a Super Bowl win.
Hey, how's the volume? Can y'all hear good?
Part of this franchise's origin story. First quarterback, he threw the first pass. He took the first snap. He threw the first touchdown pass. Frank Reich has been a part of many firsts in this franchise's history, and we're looking forward that you now get a chance to show us what's next. Before we move on, there's some people we'd like to recognize in attendance today. Panthers owners, David Tepper and Nicole Tepper, team president, Christy Coleman, general manager, Scott Fitterer. A number of players have joined us today. I see Taylor Moton, Brady Christensen, Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin, Marquise Haynes, Chuba Hubbard, Ike Ekwonu, all here.
Squad.
All players in attendance today as well.
Squad.
Dalton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzelaars, who caught that first.
So I don't think we're going to be getting Tepper.
Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. We also have the family of our new head coach, Frank Reich, wife Linda, children Hannah, Leah, and Avery, and their husbands Andrew, Thomas, and Brett. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to celebrate this momentous day. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the stage the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper.
Oh, but y'all are getting some David Tepper, y'all. Let's go. All right. All right. Interested to hear what Tepper has to say.
Did a good job taking half of what I was going to say away. So, but I just want to recognize a couple things about Frank. He's a man of incredible integrity, an incredible family man, a person that we could tell has great process and a great way of doing things. That basically has, a guy that basically checks all the boxes, and a guy that you really want to basically help build a culture and help lead a team, hopefully for the next few years and beyond. There's really nothing else for me to say. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Frank. We're really excited about having you here and helping us to build something great.
Yeah, shakes the hands of all the players first. I love it. That's what you got to do.
Well, just want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you to Mr. Tepper and Nicole Tepper for just an incredible opportunity to come back home, to lead a team and a franchise in which we were here at the beginnings, but to take on new challenges and to take us to new heights. We know that's a collective process. I appreciate the opportunity to work under the leadership of an owner and his wife who have already accomplished crazy things in their own life. I want to tap into that energy, that expertise, that innovation, the creativity to be the best. As I went through the interview process, that's what I heard very clearly from Mr. Tepper. That's the standard. That's what we're reaching for. Nothing but the best. Let's be excellent. Let's have a consistency of excellence in everything that we do to create a championship caliber team and a championship caliber organization. This is the NFL. The difference between winning and losing is really small. Every year we see it. We see teams go from big time losing to big time winning, even competing for championships, all in the space of 1 year. It's possible. But how does that happen? How do you turn things around? The reason we see these things happen is because what we all already instinctively know, that winning, the difference between winning and losing, it's in the margins. It's in the details. It's one player at a time. It's one play at a time. It's one detail at a time. It's about focusing on getting it right, not who is right, not being right. We're going to get it right together. It's not a one-man show. You will see that as a coach and as a coaching staff, we will collaborate. We will collaborate with ownership, with Scott Fitter, the GM, with Christy Coleman, the president, the whole crew. We will collaborate together to create a championship caliber organization. And we will collaborate with the players, coaches and players together. This is a player's game. If there's one thing I know being in this business as a player and coach for 30 years, this is a player's game. They're the stars, right? But we do it together as a team. There are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. It's all about the process. It's all about the people. And so we're just going to focus on progress, getting better every day. There's a quote that's been on my desk since my rookie year in 1985. And you'll hear me say this a lot. And it says this, that no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. You know, no man becomes suddenly different from his habits and cherished thoughts. And so we're going to be a team and an organization that is about creating championship habits, championship thoughts. We're going to cultivate those. We're going to nurture those, and those are going to grow. They're going to be infectious. We want to feel those, and we want to feel that in the community. And we're so excited to really partner with our fans because that's a very important part of the process. My family's already been acknowledged, but I want to acknowledge them again. My wife, Linda, we've been married 36 years, partners for life. We're a football family. Linda and I, as we've moved around the NFL, we only know one way to do it. That's to dive all in. To dive all in. Obviously, I'm diving all into the football process. Linda's leading our efforts as a family to dive into the community and what we do from a charitable standpoint to help serve this community. So we commit to you and we promise to you, we will dive all in. This is about football and this is about winning. That's why I was hired. But it's also about doing it the right way and being part of something special. Of course, our daughters, Leah, Avery, and Hannah, was mentioning early to a group that we're a football family. These girls, they all throw a pretty mean spiral. I taught them when they were young. I'm not sure they still got that in their repertoire. We grew up, they know the X's and O's. I used to take them on dates and teach them the X's and O's and the whole deal. And then, of course, our son-in-laws, Thomas, Brett, and Andrew, when they met our daughters, I had to tell them to put they're all from North Carolina, so they all had their Panthers gear. Of course, when you're with other teams, you had to tell them to put that all in the back of the closet. Well, now I told them you can bring that Panthers gear, put it in the front of the closet, right? Put that back at the front of the closet. And then I want to acknowledge my former teammates from that 1995 season, the first season ever. What a great experience to be a part of a team, the first inaugural season. Special memories for us as a team. Carlton Bailey, John Casey, Pete Metzlars, Mark Rodenhauser, Dwight Stone, and Gerald Williams. Appreciate you guys being here. And then, of course, just the friends in the community, the support has been overwhelming just in a short amount of time. But in short, as I wrap up, the vision is clear. As we talked with Scott Fitter and with Mr. Tepper, it's to create a band of excellence, create this consistency of excellence that at the top end is championships, and at the bottom end, we're a playoff team. Create that consistency of excellence that produces championships, that brings championships to the Carolinas. It takes 4 pillars to do that, right? If you're going to build that championship caliber team, it takes 4 pillars. It's ownership and the organization. I was telling a bunch of people earlier, through the interview process to get to know Mr. Tepper and Nicole was very dynamic, to see and hear and feel their vision, but also to feel the conversation that we had, the partnership that you could start to feel as we went through the interview process. That's a big deal. And of course, it's not just the ownership, it's the whole organization. For me to get a chance, the most important relationship is really with Scott Fitter, the GM, head coach and GM. We got to be like this. We're together every day. We got to, along with Mr. Tepper, come up with the blueprint of what this team is going to look like and who we're going to be. So really excited to work with Scott. Class act. We're going to fit together perfect as I'm getting to know him. His expertise is going to be a great asset to me and to our team. And so looking forward to that partnership. And of course, with Dan Morgan as assistant, I go back a little bit with him and Samir and then even working with Nicole on the business side and Christy Coleman on the business side. For us, that's a very important part of it as well. So it's about ownership. It's about the players. That's the second pillar. The first is the ownership. You got to have the right ownership to get championships. You got to have the right players. I'm really excited about the roster that we have and the roster that we're going to continue to build. This is what it's all about for me. It's about the relationship and the connection with the players. We give trust to each other right away, but then we continue to gain trust in each other as we work through and go through this journey together. And then it's about the coaches. One of the things that Mr. Tepper made clear is we're going to get the best of the best. He's willing to help support that effort, to get so that we get the best, not only the best, but the best for our team. So we have the right mix of coaches. And we will have a great coaching staff. And then lastly, that fourth pillar, it's about the fans. We're at that time of year. There's nothing like seeing a football stadium rocking. When a team is having success and when we're giving the community reasons to be excited about, it'll be a special time to be in that stadium and to be walking around the city wearing the Panthers logo. And then just finally, right, those are the 4 pillars. And then just finally, this is really to the players. This is really to the players that are here and the ones that might tune in and they'll hear this soon enough. There's 3 primary principles. There's 3 primary principles that we're operate by. The first is a relentless pursuit to get better every day. We got to have a relentless pursuit to get better every day. Nothing can ever get in the way of that. We're committed to that, to push each other in every way. We got to get better every day. No one has all the answers. We work together, we collaborate, and we push each other to be the best. The second one is that excellence comes through competition. We're going to compete in everything we do. In meetings, in the weight room, on the practice field. That's the way you get to be the best. You have to compete against one another and bring out the best. And then, of course, we'll enjoy competing against the opponents. That'll be a lot of fun and put that on full display, right? And then lastly, it's going to be about the team. The team. We will celebrate. We got great individual players. They'll hit many individual milestones and goals, and we'll celebrate all those. But the team always comes first. That's what we're going to be about. And then in closing, I would just say this. We're going to bring a brand of football and a style of football that this city can be proud of. It's going to be exciting in all 3 phases. It's going to be innovative. It's going to be creative. We will always be working to get better. And then we're going to do it the right way, on and off the field. We want to make you proud. And so just thankful to be back, and I'll open it up to questions from there.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. As he said, we will open up to questions. We do have mics in the crowd,
no
so
keep
please
pounding.
raise your hand.
I don't know if y'all
best to get to
hate that
we'll
or love
with,
that or not.
Steve
No
Reed,
keep
followed by
pounding.
Joe Person and Scott Fowler.
Hey, Frank, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. First of all, welcome back to Carolina. I wonder if you could talk about the roster that you're inheriting here, and as you're going through the interview process, what were your thoughts on the roster? Where do you feel like it needs to get better? What do you see as some of the strong suits?
I think the defense has been obviously a real strong suit, been top level defense, but we're always looking to get better. To be honest, here's what a top 5 defense gives you an opportunity to do. Top 10 defense is going to give you a chance in every game, but a top 5 defense is what really can elevate you as a team, that you can not only be in every game, but you can find a way to win every game when you got a top 5 defense. So we understand we're in a league that is, offensively driven in many ways, but kind of the secret sauce is create and build upon the momentum that we have here, the players, the roster that we have here on defense, get the right coaches so we have the right scheme that accentuate their gifts. I'm not going to go through player by player. Scott and I have sat down, started to talk about that. There's still a whole lot more study that needs to go, but obviously that stands out. And then offensively was really encouraged as I watched kind of the second half of the season and dig into the tape a little bit. There's so much to build on. The offensive line, the running game. We got receivers that can get vertical down the field. The running backs were strong. Foreman looked strong at the end of the year. That's going to be really important for us to get the ball vertically down the field, continue to build this roster so that we improve in all 3 phases, which of course also brings you to special teams, which were top-ranked special teams this past year, and we look forward. That's an essential part of a championship caliber football team.
I kind of think Ben McAdoo might stay, y'all.
Good to see you. So, 2 questions.
We'll talk about it.
Offensive plays, and then secondly, did your experience in Indianapolis, will that make you more likely or more convicted to do the draft and develop route at quarterback?
As far as calling plays, I'm going to wait to see that we get the offensive staff together. Obviously, I've always enjoyed doing that. Felt like I've had a good bit of success doing that and enjoy doing that. It feels to me there's a little bit of a trend going away from that. I want to continue to re-examine that, and it just depends on how the staff comes together and the coordinator thing. I'm excited about the prospects of some of the guys that are out there that could be our offensive coordinator. So I'll wait to make the final decision on that. And part B of that question was? You got to have stability at quarterback. You want to have stability at quarterback. So the good thing that I've learned in my past experience here, in the few years, is we've learned how to adapt to different styles of quarterbacks, but that's not the ideal situation, right? So we, Mr. Tepper, Scott, myself, have to commit to what's our blueprint, how are we going to maintain stability at quarterback, make a plan, and then execute that plan.
Frank, over to your left.
Not a lot there.
Hey, Scott.
But I don't.
Glad to see you again. Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
I wonder 2 things. One, if you could give us a couple of the specific 1995 memories you have from here. And then secondly, if you wouldn't mind evaluating a little more specifically the quarterbacks currently on this roster.
Yeah, the memories from that first season, of course, we didn't play here. We played in Clemson. So one of the memories is the bus rides. It's the camaraderie of the players, right? Your teammates, we're on these long, we got home games that we're busing to that are, several hours away, and then traffic coming out of Clemson was, always a little bit slow, even with
Go Tigers.
But those are great memories. I won't go into the details, but some of the memories of our practice facility that year in the showers, there was a unique showering situation. I'll just put it that way. That was a unique memory. And, touchdown pass to my friend Pete Metzlar's, of course, first touchdown in Panthers history. I don't have, as a career backup quarterback, I don't have too many highlights, but, to have the first touchdown pass in the team's history is pretty special. And then that first game in Atlanta, we're playing our very first game in team history in Atlanta with, thinking, you're even going to have a chance. And we take the game to overtime, and we ended up losing in overtime, but I'll never forget that first game.
I want to know what happened in the showers. Like what?
Hey, Frank, Phil Orban from WSOC in Charlotte. I'm over here to your left. I'm curious what it was that brought you to Charlotte and kept you to Charlotte in between your playing career and your coaching career. What drew you to the city?
Introduced our daughters. They were all raised here. We lived here for 13 years before, transitioning full time. So, one of our daughters, our youngest daughter Hannah, was born here. But they were all raised here, went to school here, high school, the whole deal. So, this was home. This was instantly home for us. You know, we had
I
10
wanna
years
know,
up in
Cody.
Buffalo, which were amazing 10 years playing up there. And then I played for 3 other teams as I finished my
It
career.
sure didn't,
But
Jordan.
when we were looking at, hey, where's home base going to be long term? It was the Carolinas. It's always been the Carolinas for Linda and I. We've been, like I said, we've been married a long time. And when we started talking about where do we want home base to be, we just fell in love with this area, with this city. And so this has always been part of the master plan. And then to think I get to come back and do it as the head coach, that's insane to me. So let's go.
Hey, Frank. Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. When you got to Indy, it was kind of an unusual circumstance where Matt and a few of those coaches were already in place. I was just curious, what did you learn from your first staff building experience in Indy, and how will that impact building a staff here now?
I thought we built a great staff. We had really good diversity of thought, diversity of personalities, diversity of coaching styles. I think that's important. The chemistry of the staff is really, really important. I think that's one of the lessons learned, you know, as a lot of those guys were very successful and went on to be head coaches and coordinators with other teams, which I think is a good sign that we did our job the right way to start. But then you start losing those guys and you got to replace. And this goes back to Mr. Tepper's point. You know, we had good coaches. We had good coaches in all places. And, you know, but there's still something about chemistry. There's still something about chemistry. And that's my job as a head coach to make sure that's right.
Frank, Ellis Williams here, Charlotte Observer. You've been doing this for a long time. You've been around a lot of offensive creative minds. I'm wondering, from your 2 stops in Indy to Philly to Arizona to San Diego, what are your offensive philosophies and pillars, and what are you going to bring and lean on from those when you build this Carolina offense?
It's a passing league, but you have to run the ball to be a championship team. You know, I mean, there's exceptions to that. But when you look at the analytics, the statistics over the years, that you got to be effective running the football and efficient running the football. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about this roster. I know we can do that. We'll get the pass game right, but I know we can run the football, and we're going to run the football because that just builds off the play action, off the RPO stuff, you know, all the movement stuff. So that's what you want to build. What offensively you're always trying to do is to create conflict in the defender, put a seed of doubt in the defender's mind. You know, is it run? Is it pass? Is it the RPO? Is it a first level RPO throw? Is it second level? Is it, you know, are they going deep? So complement everything together. But it starts with running the football. And then the second principle is you have to get the ball vertical down the field. You have to get chunk plays. All the statistics, all the analytics. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited to work for Mr. Tepper, because, right, if anybody who knows analytics, it's him and all of his businesses. But he gets this as much as anybody. But like it's hard to go 14 play drives all the time. You got to get chunk plays down the field. So we need to be able to run the ball, have play action off it. We can get it vertical, have the kind of players and quarterback that can do that.
Oh,
that does say Matt Corral,
it's been almost
baby.
3 months since you were fired in Indianapolis, and now a quick turnaround here. Not too many coaches get this opportunity this quickly. I'm wondering if you've had time to reflect what you've learned from your time in Indy that you will then implement here in Carolina.
I did. I did. In some ways, if there was going to be a transition, it was a blessing in disguise, you know, that I really did. Okay. We were talking earlier with a group of people. You know, in the NFL, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have successes and failures. We had 4 years of good success, and then you go through 1 year where there's a struggle, and now you have a chance to reflect on that. And it's like, you know, it's like getting an app. I like to talk to the players like this. You know, in apps you get version 1, then there's version 2. I feel like this provides me an opportunity to debug some things, make things better. Now come out with version 2.0 or version 3.0. It's better. It's cleaned up. The important thing is, though, that you're starting with a good product to start, which I know we are. So now we clean some things up. Like I said, staff, vision of the offense, complementary defense, you know, and that high level of special teams play, all the areas that that we're really going to focus on a team. And then how to stay true to the process, manage expectations in a way, keep our team focused on the right things, and then keep challenging and pushing. Ultimately, it's got to come from the players. The head coach and the coaches can only do so much. The leadership has to come from the locker room, right? I got a role that I got to play, and I'll do my best to play that role. But ultimately, that leadership's got to come from the players as well.
Let's go to David Newton and then Josh Klein, please.
David Newton. Come on, David.
Newton, ESPN.com. Not sure what I asked you in 1995 first. Probably could you be the starting quarterback? But I want to follow up on one of the questions over there. What exactly went wrong at Indianapolis? And are any correlations between what you've seen the last 5 years here in your brief evaluation of why this team hasn't been successful?
I think what went wrong was, we had this in 4 years. We established, in 4 years, it was established that that team, we were running the ball well. We're like we're going to do here. And then as this year started out, that the running game disappeared. And then we didn't get the ball vertically down the field because of that. And we ended up having some breakdowns. Now, and that's on me as the head coach. I got to get that right. The responsibility starts with me, right? So when we don't reach our goals, it's under my leadership. And so I have to take, and that's why I have an opportunity to be here. But ultimately, I also feel I look back and I also say, well, part of it went wrong. I always feel like I've always had a good track record of the second half of the season as a head coach. If you go back and look at the record in the second half of the season, so there's a little bit of side of me that says we've had a way as a staff of figuring it out. Even when you go over a few bumps, I think we're good at figuring things out, injuries, things you have to get past, putting players in the best position. So that's a lot of fun to do.
Putting players in the best.
Hey, Frank,
position.
Josh Klein from the Riot Report. You already talked about your memories from 1995, and one of the first pictures that the team put out to announce your hiring was a picture of you and Sam Mills. And I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit about what Sam and keep pounding means to you specifically.
There we go, Josh.
Sam, captain of our team. I mean, he was the lifeblood of our team. That first year, we knew that we were having a special experience, and Sam was at the center of that. You knew when you walked, and Sam was in the room, you knew it. You felt his presence. You felt his leadership. He had very high standards. I think that's what stands out to me most about my memories of Sam. His standards were just so high personally. He drove himself, his work ethic, how he prepared, how he practiced, how he played.
Always.
And then it just exemplified that keep pounding, which to me ultimately is about a sign of being committed to the process. That even though there's going to be some bumps along the road, if we keep pounding and we keep believing, we're going to get it right.
Go to Mike Solarte, then Brett Jensen.
Frank, back here in the back straight to your left. It's good to see you again. Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. You talked about the relationship between the head coach and the general manager, you and Scott Fitterer. Is there a for lack of a better description, balance of power, input? I mean, how do you see your role in helping to build this roster? Is it giving Scott a name you like, or collaborative, or where do you start with that?
Yeah, it's balance of power. Scott will have control of 53. I'll control who's active and who's not active. But ultimately, this is, that's on paper. In reality, this is 100% collaborative. I can already tell that with Scott. We're going to work side by side. We're going to tirelessly work where we're going to have the same vision. We'll have disagreements. We'll have disagreements. We'll have different ideas. But ultimately, we'll come together as one and decide who are the best players on this team and how to build this team. And along with the scouting staff and the coaches, we'll work together. So I look forward to that. I can already tell with Scott that partnership is going to be a highlight for me, and looking forward to getting work as soon as we possibly can.
Frank, Brett Jensen, WBT News. I'm just curious, getting back to quarterback a second. What type of quarterback do you prefer? Do you prefer a running style quarterback where you mentioned the RPOs, more like, Jalen Hurts, or do you prefer more of a traditional drop back type of quarterback? What do you prefer?
We all know where the game's going, right? And we all know the game is going to, a more movement style quarterback. I embrace that. I love that. And we worked with some, in Philadelphia, had worked with Carson Wentz, and we did a lot of good things. Got a lot of good things with movement, RPOs, play action, all that stuff. Same thing in the years in Indy. We had some drop back, some movement guys. And so ultimately we can adapt to whatever, but where the game is going, and most of the guys coming out in college have more movement. So right, that has some advantages. The defensive players will tell you when that quarterback is back there and he is a threat to run. You watch Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, which our offenses are very similar just because of our connection with Nick Sirianni and so on and so forth. And the quarterback's running his own read and he's a threat to run. It just puts the defense in conflict, right? Slows the backside down. We have a saying that we'll say on offense: front side wins games, backside wins championships. Front side wins games, backside wins championships. Okay, well, if the backside wins championships, and if I got a quarterback who can run and he's making that defensive end hold his water, or making the linebacker hold the water at the second level, it's just going to give my guys more room on the front side. It's going to put the offensive lineman in a position to have better leverage. So if you got that guy, that's the game you play, and you put it to the player's advantage. But at some level, even those guys, and Mr. Tepper and Scott and I talked about this, you got to have a guy that can win from the pocket. We're not going to drop back. If we have one of those guys, we won't drop back 50 times, but you got to drop back 10 times. It's 3rd and 10, and the game is on the line. You probably are playing from the pocket. So we can develop that as well. You want to be able to understand who you're drafting or understand who you're acquiring, continue to develop them as a player. We can all get better. I can be better as a coach. They can become better as a player, whether we're signing a guy or drafting a guy. But ultimately, that's the challenge, and that's the excitement of it.
I love that answer, y'all. That was my favorite answer
Frank,
so
it's Chris
far.
Duke with Charlotte Vibe. This was a process that took several weeks and several rounds with candidates. In your eyes, what made you stick out specifically to be the chosen head coach for this Carolina Panthers team? And then I have a follow-up.
Well, obviously, I think that would be more a question for Mr. Tepper and Nicole and
You
Scott
said both, Jordan.
and the crew. I just know this. I know there's more than one way to do it. It's not a one-man show. So I'm not trying to make it like it's a one-man show. I have very strong convictions about what I think it takes to win, what I think it takes to build a roster, what I think that vision looks like, how we play as a team, what areas that we really have to be good at in situational football, and then how to be good at those areas. But it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort. So I hope what came out there is that this is going to be about the team of coaches, the team of players that we build, working as an organization, that excellence is the standard, that consistency of excellence is what we've got to have. That's ultimately what we're all looking for. We want to be at the top. This is what I heard from it. We want to be at the top, not just every now and then, year in and year out. So that's what we're striving for.
Thank you. And the second part is, part of what you mentioned is collaboration with the players. Player safety is important. Players here have mentioned wanting a natural surface, and we have.
Let's go, Chris.
Have you had conversation about that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Could you just repeat the last part of that again? I'm sorry, one more time.
Yeah. Have you had conversations with the organization about the planned surface, and what is your overall opinion on what the surface is best for players?
I'm sorry. The last, there's a word.
Oh, he can't hear. What?
Surface. So the field.
Okay. If I'm not answering the question directly, it's my fault. Okay. Ask my daughters. They'll tell me sometimes my hearing gets a little bit messed up. Okay. So my fault. Okay. Just make that clear. But the way I approach the collaboration piece with the players, with the coaches is, listen, this isn't we're going to collaborate, but it's not a democracy. It can't be. It doesn't work.
That
well
means
like
what Tepper says goes.
The players are going to feel that I will love and respect them, and the coaches will love and respect them. And they've all had a lot of great coaches and players that I'm sure have coaches that have done that. But they're going to feel my love and respect for them, and they're going to feel that we will listen. We will listen to what they have to say, but there has to be a chain of command. The coaches have to be in charge. It's about the players, but the players can't run the ship. It just doesn't work like that. That works for a very short time. If you want to have sustained success, it has to be the right kind of leadership from the coach, the GM, and the owner. And the players are going to drive the ship, but they're not running the ship.
Hi, Coach. Kelly Bardick here, WCCB and Bay Hackle Sports. Two questions for
That
you.
was
First
a
of all,
tough question,
welcome,
man.
back to Charlotte.
Chris
What do you want the identity of the
That
Frank
was
Reich
awkward.
coach Carolina Panthers to be? And then also there are some players here, since we're just talking about players. Have you had the chance to sit down with any of them? And if so, maybe share some of those conversations, what they were like?
No, first with the players, just have started to reach out via text to make sure they all had my number so that when I call and try to connect, obviously it's been 2 days. So like I said, that'll be the highlight, to get with these guys one-on-one, to get with them together. And the first part of that question.
Sorry, my mic was going. What do you want the identity of this team to be?
So 5 traits of
Big
great.
John.
What it takes to be a great player. 5 traits are great. Number 1 is toughness, mental and physical toughness. Number 2 is accelerated vision, right? What does that mean? That means that you see the game so fast, and your brain and processes information so quickly, the game is slow to you. Like, it's slow to you. Like, this is easy. I know what they're doing. I know what that split means. I know what that stance means. I know what that backfield alignment means. I know what that release means. So when you play with accelerated vision, you play faster than your time speed, and you're really good at situational football. Number 3 is footwork. Football is played from the ground up. So we want our team to be marked with good footwork. It's all about fundamentals and technique. When it's good on good, and that's what it is every week in the NFL, it's good on good. Our players are good, and they're good. So who's going to win? The guy with the best fundamentals. The guys with the best fundamentals. So we're going to be good fundamentally. That's going to be a mark of the team. Number 4 is going to be playmaker. You got to be able to make plays in the clutch, on third down, in the red zone, in 2 minutes, when a game is really on the line. That's not just the quarterback. It's not just the receivers. It's the left guard cutting off a nose tackle on outside zone to the right. That's a playmaker. That's a playmaker. So that's all across the board. And then lastly is the X factor. You got to have the X factor, right? We want players who have that X factor. What does that mean? They're great leaders. They're great teammates. They love football. They love to practice. They love to meet. They love to grind. Those are the kind of players we want in the building.
Guys, we're up against time, so the last one to Jeremy Ham.
Frank, you were known for the comebacks as a player. When your first season in Indianapolis, you guys started slowly, came back to make the playoffs. What do you remember about your messaging that season, and how does that apply to what you're taking over right now?
It's all about focusing, one day at a time. A lot of teams use this. I know even our team here, this was big this last year, because it's true. It's got to be a 1-0 mentality. It's about 1% better, get 1% better every day, and be 1-0. Be 1-0 today. Win the day. I like to talk about, hey, guys, during the week, the way we practice, the way we meet, the way we prepare, we're going to put all that in a suitcase. That suitcase is only so big, right? It has a weight limit when you can take on the plane, or it's a 50-pound limit when you pack it up and put it on the plane. So you can only fit so much in there. But what happens is then when we get there on Sunday, we're going to pour that out on the field. Our collective score, preparation, all those things, how we did it. We're going to bring our suitcase, and the opposing team is going to bring their suitcase. And on Sunday, those things are getting dumped out on the field. And whoever has the best suitcase is going to win. And then guess what? In the NFL, that suitcase is completely unpacked, and then you pack it up the next week. And that's the cycle of the NFL.
Thank you so much, Coach. And thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it. We'll do some photo ops here now that we're completed. So if you guys would like to come forward, you certainly may. Thank you very much.
All righty then. You have just heard Frank Reich. Man, oh man, his press conference as the Carolina Panthers head coach. Wow, man. A lot to unpack there. He talked a lot about how he wants to build this team and being accountable. First, there were some great questions. I mean, some absolutely fantastic questions. And dude, you have to give a round of applause to Chris Jenkins for asking that questions about the turf. Dude, that was so awkward, because imagine you're Frank Reich and you're in that scenario where your players are voicing concerns about something. And this is going on before Frank Reich. Your players are concerned about something, but the ownership has the final say. That definitely put him in a tough spot. But one of the things, my favorite part of the press conference was when he was talking about the RPOs and the play action passes and how the NFL is a lot of that, and you're able to you're able to build your run game off of that. Those types of things open up the run game. And man, listen, I know y'all know I'm a Mal fan, but RPO is what he did in college. That's what he did at Ole Miss, where he had better numbers than a guy like Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. However, that doesn't take them out of the running for being drafted by the Panthers either. So, there's a lot of different ways that they can go. But I love what you said about the quarterback position, that, you want somebody that can run. And he did mention that too. When you have a guy that can win with his legs, it just opens up your offense in a brand new way, and it opens up possibilities that you just didn't have available to you. And he also made the point in saying that as you look towards the draft, most of these players that the draft, the quarterbacks rather, they do have that mobility factor that previous quarterbacks coming through the draft didn't have. So, oh, is that spam? Yeah, my bad for even putting up spam. Yeah, go ahead and put it here, your ass in time out. Later, Carlos. But yeah, man, I'm I was really impressed. I really thought this was a good press conference. I don't think that Frank Reich could have said anything more than he did. A lot of people were like, he kind of tired out at the end. And I don't know, maybe he did, but that this is a big pressure moment. You have an entire fan base looking at you and what you're gonna say and the things that you're gonna do. Now, I'll be honest with you. But let me go ahead and share this back up so y'all can kind of see what's going on. Stuff. But yeah, I mean, that was a tough position for Frank Reich to be in, and I felt like he handled it well. He did handle it well, and I thought that he did as good as you could possibly do in that situation. Now, Jordan, he did say draft, but he also said bring in as well. So I think he was like covering his bases there. And again, it wouldn't surprise anyone if the Carolina Panthers drafted a quarterback. Like, that goes without saying, I'm a Matt Corral fan, and even I know that it's probably going to have to be an injury in front of Matt Corral that gets him to seeing the football field consistently. And I don't wish injuries on anyone, but especially since Matt's coming off of that Liz Frank injury, I don't fault or blame the organization if they don't want to put everything all in his hands at once. However, if you listen to what Frank Reich said, Corral literally fits the bill that he's looking for. The RPOs, the play action pass, mobility. Matt Corral can do all of those things. So I would love that. I would be happy with that. Yeah, and I also, the free agent route seems less and less likely to me, because even if David Tepper wants to take wing on Jackson, I just think it would be so much to ask for your head coach to come in and then you get rid of all of his first round draft picks for the next couple of years. Like, that just, I don't know. That doesn't seem like it. That doesn't seem like the right me. So, yeah, I don't know, man. What did y'all think? Y'all want me to open this up? Hey, y'all let me know if y'all wanna come in here. I don't know how much longer I'll do this, but if y'all want to come and give some opinions, I'll definitely let you. But another thing he mentioned was the defense, and it's pretty much known that it's this is a defensive football team. Been a defensive football team for a long time. So, the fact that he wants to continue to build that, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Doesn't surprise me at all. I see you, Big John. I see you loud and clear. Boom, 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 boom. If you would like to come in and be a part of this and tell me what you think about Frank Reich, come on in. The link is in the chat. Listen, I'm excited, man. I really do think that Frank Reich is the best guy for the job. I don't think that we could have done better. I know a lot of people wanted Steve Wilks, and I understand that, man. I really do. I understand it. But it's, it's I don't even know what to say, man. Like, if you believe that Steve Wilks didn't get a fair shake, there's nothing that I can say to, make you to change your opinion. The only thing that I can say, you need an offensive. I'm a firm believer. You need an offensive-minded head coach in today's NFL to continue to be successful and not have the constant turnaround of offensive coordinators leaving as you mount a good offense. It's not the right thing to do, I think. And I think ultimately that's what handicapped Steve Wilks. My man Eric 37 with the $2, he says, I love that he talked about having top 5 defense. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I don't think that's something that's going to go away at all. Let me add some of these people up in here, man. You already know I got my boy White Chocolate Espresso. Yeah, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. I'm on my lunch break. I'll hop in for a bit.
Oh, my shit. This man's having lunch. And I know Panther Pickle's here. Panther Pickle's at work. Pickle, what's up?
Hey, guys. I am hiding behind a machine. So I just want to get on here real quick to say my thoughts here. I love the fact that he spoke a lot about the RPOs. And I wanted to, when he talked about they also need to be able to throw from the pocket. I love that part. And if y'all caught that at the end when he was talking about they need to learn from throw from the pocket, he says, but we can teach that if we need to. And I think he was directing that a lot to a lot of folks that are in the draft, because we really don't know what direction we're going to head in the draft until those in front of us.
Right.
I've also thought the question was, I understand why they asked it, but there was no way he could have answered that grass to natural field turf question correctly. He was either going to piss off Pepper or piss off the players. That is almost unfair to ask that. But, somebody was going to ask it. So, but.
Yeah. So did you think it was unfair? Like, if you were Chris, would you not have asked that question?
Well, I don't think I would have, but somebody's going to ask it. But I'm glad Chris asked it and to be honest, and not others. Because Chris can ask it and be a lot respectful, as some of the other reporters will ask it and almost be unrespectful when they ask it. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hear you. It was definitely a tough position to be in. Kev, go ahead, man. Kev, what did you think about the press conference?
I mean, it was cool. It was nice. Like, I don't put stock in the press conference. Nick Sirianni had like a worse press conference ever, and now he's going to be in the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah. Hey, you guys speak into the mic a little bit more. You're super, super low.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I posted the link in the chat if you would like to come in, and I'll go as long as y'all want me to go. We're gonna be doing we're gonna be doing our podcast tonight, but if y'all want to come in and let your voices be heard right quick, feel free.
I'm gonna pop out. I'll see y'all later.
All right, later, Pickle. Let me add my man Locks Man to the stream. Big Locks, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's good?
What's good, bro? What did you think about that press conference from our brand new coach Frank Reich?
I thought it was I thought it was good, but just like who was that Pickle was just saying about the Chris Jenkins question, I think that was kind of You know, it was kind of a little bit off a little bit, but I thought everything he said was pretty good, pretty much what I expected.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Is there any one question that stuck out to you? Yeah, what's up?
I was going to say, you really think they're going to bring back McAdoo?
Oh, okay. So about Ben McAdoo, right? They brought back Chris Tabor and James Campen. And I was thinking about this yesterday, right? There's a lot of coordinator positions that are open in the NFL. Maybe he's able to attract one of the better ones here. I know a lot of people want Brian Johnson, the OC from Philadelphia. But one of the things that he said at the end of that press conference was if you look at the Panthers offense last year, they were able to get back on track, that they were able to do some good things with RPOs, moving the football downfield, and what they were able to do with the run game. And you have to think, if Frank Reich thinks that he can build on that type of success that was already had, I'm telling you, man, he could probably do a lot worse than Ben McAdoo. I know a lot of y'all hate his ass. Like, I know that. I kind of think that's a little bit misguided. Ben McAdoo wants to throw the field, but the Panthers, they weren't necessarily in a position to do that with Baker Mayfield under center. Now, they were able to do it a little bit more with P.J. Walker, but even when Sam Darnold came in, Sam Darnold hadn't played football in a year. So they didn't want to pass the ball with him a bunch of times. They wanted to ease him into it. And then down the stretch, that's when Sam Darnold was able to make some plays in the end zone to DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall down the field. So even though it's not my first option to retain Ben McAdoo, Kev, it would not surprise me at all if that's what we ended up doing, just because he has a better resume and he already has a relationship with many of the players on the team.
I just think that Pepper wouldn't allow it. I think he wants a total rebuild because why fire Will?
Yeah. Yeah, true. And let me ask y'all this, to everyone in the chat and Kevin Locks, who do y'all think is going to be calling plays? Because from the sound of that press conference, it really sounded to me like he enjoys play calling and he feels like he's good at it. So I could see that being something that Frank Reich does no matter who the coordinator is.
Yeah, I think he could allow the offensive coordinator to call plays. When it comes to the critical plays, probably like third down, fourth down plays.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe. Go ahead, Box.
Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on who they hire. If they hire like some young guy who never called plays before, like Brian Johnson or somebody like that, he'll probably do the play calling. But if they bring in somebody with like experience, he'll probably hand it off to whoever that is.
Yeah, and they did mention Philly Sports Nut. CJA in the chat says, dude said our offense is going to look like Philly. Next up, let me introduce my man. You know him, you love him. He has his own YouTube channel. If you want to find it, look him up at One Carolina. It's my guy, John. Big John, what's up, dude?
My dog, what's going on, man?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. I'm reacting to my new head coach, you know.
Yes, sir.
I felt like, yeah, there was a lot to like in that press conference, a lot of takeaways. John, let me ask you, man, what was takeaway at Frank Reich press conference? How are you feeling?
I got to be honest with you. I'm excited, but I'm obviously optimistically cautious at the same time. Like I'm excited for the fact that, for the first time, having someone with an offensive mindset that, I know we were talking about, like, I heard you guys talking about OCs, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think that he may assume a lot of that. I think you might see a situation where they even groom somebody, to kind of be sort of an Eric Bieniemy to Andy Reid kind of situation, because it's just no way a guy like that comes in and sees what's been going on with this offense over the, all these years and doesn't want to implement, his philosophy over it. So I think that'll be something that, is pretty much shored up. But in terms of just my overall excitement, I think there is a healthy optimism, man. Like I noticed that, there were some key pieces, in the front there. Jeremy Chin. I saw Dante. I saw Icky. I even saw Marquise Haynes, which was, really cool to see or whatever. Chuba, I think I saw him there as well. But like I said, I have a high level of optimism, but I'm cautious at the same time because, I guess as a fan and really as a content creator, I'm trying to avoid getting burnt. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I'll come out and have these, pretty aggressive takes, man. And, I can go back and look at some of my, takes with about Matt Rule and, bro, I mean, you could really pull my card and be like, bro. Really?
Oh, John, who you talking to, bro? Hey, I'm wild out here, man.
Right.
Like, I put my stamp on a lot of different players. I was a big fan of Joe Brady, and I thought he got a raw deal.
Yeah.
And everybody can't stand Joe Brady. So
Listen,
I'm a defender of McAdoo too. I think, I do want to get your opinion on this, John, and then I'll go real quick. But what I was talking about Ben McAdoo. Do you think so? I'm kind of the mindset that love him or hate him, you could probably do a lot worse than Ben McAdoo. I know he's not a fan favorite, but if you were not able to get a Brian Johnson, which now that's the biggest name. He's the guy in Philly. He had a lot of good stuff that he did with Jalen Hurts. A lot of people kind of here. Yeah, right. So if he doesn't go with the Brian Johnson, if that doesn't work out, is Ben McAdoo completely off the list? Completely, or is does he have a shot at it?
I think so. And the only reason I think so is because when you've walked the path that McAdoo has as a head coach, I think it's hard, being with someone like Matt Rule. McAdoo was more of a mentor, especially with his experience, being an NFL head coach. With Frank Reich being a former player, quarterback specifically, being an offensive guy, and we've seen some of the offense that this guy has orchestrated over the years, Super Bowl winning offenses that he's orchestrated over the years. I think that might be a strange room to be in, you know what I'm saying, for Ben McAdoo because of his, his experience in the NFL. I mean, Mac has had he had, success with us, with the Russian attack, later in the season. And then he had success with, Eli Manning. I think Eli Manning posted his best season as a pro under Ben McAdoo as an offensive coordinator, but then obviously it didn't really work out for him as head coach. But like I said, when you think about one thing that stuck out to me more than anything else, when they asked him the quarterback question, as far as securing the room or whatever like that, the first thing he said was where the league is going. That told me everything I needed to know. And to be honest with you, I don't know that Ben McAdoo is willing to, because he runs I don't want to call it archaic, because that would be kind of mean. Like, you would see some RPO concept in what he was doing. You would see, but a lot of times, man, we would, spend a lot of time with just, a lot of two wide receivers, sometimes, fullback, tight end. I think they call it like 20 personnel, sometimes with 2 running backs or whatever like that, just to shore up the protection to run the ball. You just don't see a lot of innovation when it comes to him. But at the same time, I will say this, he didn't really have a lot to work with in terms of like Sam Darnold, while he might be still a threat, quote unquote, to run, as far as like scrambling to get away, he is not an RPO threat. Like, when he pulls that ball back, like, man, you ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? If that end crash, like, he's done. You know what I'm saying? So like, but no, I think that Mac would be out just on the sheer fact that they are going to look to go in a completely new direction. And man, I tell you, you talked about it. Matt Corral being on this, here, like, the more options you have, this is what I love about it. Am I a guy that I'm like you? I'm like Y Big Jordan. Shout out to my guy, Y Big Jordan. The reason why I love the fact that you have a guy like that on the roster and you can even draft somebody like that is because we saw what happened to the Niners this year. Injuries happen, randomly. You want to be able to have a plug and play situation to have somebody else goes in who understands the concept of the system. So yeah, Matt might not start, but he might get an opportunity. But I do believe we're going to go draft big time.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Seeing what happened with San Francisco, you think more teams keep 3 quarterbacks on the team?
Seeing what happened with who? Your volume is crazy low, Kev.
Sorry. Seeing what happened with San Francisco, you think more teams are on carry 3 quarterbacks?
That will carry 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah.
After
seeing what
really, dude, they almost had Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback in the NFC Championship game, dude. That was wild, man. I mean, no, it's a possibility, but I'll say this: Matt Corral's not going nowhere. But I do think that whether it be the first or second round, they're probably going to go after one of the up and coming guys, either a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson. You know, and by the way, when you listen to that press conference, he really mentioned how much a mobile quarterback opens up your offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know about that a lot. He even referenced Philadelphia. You know, that's where he won the Super Bowl with Carson Wentz. So it really does make you think that the Carolina Panthers being able to take the top off the defense, not only with the quarterback's legs, but deep down the field, that seems to be paramount. That seems to be the biggest on the Carolina Panthers list of to-dos. It's modernize the Panthers offense and bring it into the 21st century, for lack of a better words. You know, you have to look at what other NFL teams are doing that are successful and compare yourself against them. And all of the playoff teams this year, maybe save the San Francisco 49ers, they had the big playability. They could all get the ball downfield and get 70 yards in one play. So I really do think that that's going to be a big thing for the Carolina Panthers forward. John, I wanted to get your opinion on this. But Kev got to go. Kev, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man, I'll check you out tonight.
Kev, take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, man, we'll be doing it tonight at 9, like we always do, man. So come through. Did you hear about the turf?
I did. I mean, go ahead.
That's my dude. I love Chris Jenkins. He's he's been on the podcast a bunch of times. I've dubbed him the man of the people. Shout out to Chris. Chris is awesome. But it did leave Frank Reich in a weird place, right? Because you're basically stuck between the players and the owner.
Yeah.
You know, the owner obviously doesn't want to change the turf on the field, or else he would have done so already. However, you have a large portion of your players that you're trying to ingratiate yourself to, but ultimately at the end of the day, you have to tell them, hey, Tepper has the final decision on all things, and, you know, even over the players themselves. Do you think that was a fair question for Chris to ask?
I do. And I'll tell you why. Not because sometimes you look for a tone setter, even when it's not something specific to the topic. So, like, you know, if I know coming in, like, all right, Frank Reich has a, you know, unique ability. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's a pastor. You know, he went to seminary school. And so he's able to deal with a lot of different adverse, you know, situations just from being, you know, walking that path. But the reason why I think it's appropriate is because it's a tone setter for how he's going to handle these press conferences when things are getting rough. Because trust and believe, when you come into a team like this, you're going to get some hardball questions. And that's one of the things that used to frustrate fans so much is like, you know, I'm going to do a video reaction to the Bussin' with the Boys interview with Matt Rule. And I'm going to go ahead and leak one part of the interview because, man, one of my favorite songs is Stay Scheming with Ross, Drake, and French Montana. Drake had a line. He said, Shorty want to tell me secrets by her rap N-word. I tell that chick is more attractive when you hold it down. And it's like, bro, you don't have to say everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think he answered it perfectly. And it was a tone setting question from Chris to him, and something that the players could look at and see like, all right, how you going to handle this, man? You know what I'm saying? And like, honestly, I thought he handled it brilliantly. I thought he handled it, you know, with class, and he told the truth, you know, about what his expectations are, what he can do and what he can't do. You know what I'm saying? As far as, but he didn't go too deep because he obviously knows who writes his paycheck. But like I said, I think more than anything, it was a tone setter for how things could go this season and how he could keep steady this ship and not let things fall apart by things that he says in the media that could potentially break up a locker room.
Yeah. It put him in a tough spot, but I agree with you. I think the question needed to be asked. And this, let me tell you, man, this turf issue, it's not going away. It's not going to go away, especially when you had people filing complaints, you know, that ours is one of the worst fields to play on. The Detroit Lions, they wouldn't stop talking about it, man. You know, it was like a big deal after that game, you know. So that's not the last time he's going to get that question.
No,
not at all. And it's going to continue to be a big deal. I even saw Jeremy Chin when he was asking that question, or when that question was being asked. Yeah, he kind of looked over to Dante, and man, I wish so bad that I could know when said to each other at that moment in time, man. Yeah, like, you buying this? I don't know, bro. Yeah. But hey, real quick, let me do something that I think is a little bit necessary. This is that subscriber shame, people. 219 people watching, 71 thumbs up. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. You know we're going to be here tonight at 9 for your normal, your tried and true edition of the C3 Panthers podcast, and we're going to be talking about this for a while, man. This is this is big news. This is big news. Locks, I saw you unmute your microphone. What you got to say, bro?
Yeah, I got 2 questions before I get up out of here, because I've been on my phone all day and I ain't even to charge. But
you're good.
Yeah, the first one is, do y'all think Temper's gonna change the turf to grass, or is he just aggravated by it and he want everybody to shut the hell up about the turf? And my second one is damn, what was my second one? Hold on.
But how about this? You think I'll answer your first one? The money talks, bro. The money talks. If Bank of America Stadium is going to be holding these big concerts all summer and through the fall, that's part of the reason for the turf, is that it's easily replaceable. You can roll it out, you can put it back down, and it's easy like that. Now, I don't know why we're saying that it's worse than even some of the other turf fields in the NFL. I don't know. I don't understand any of that at all whatsoever. But something definitely needs to be done, and it's really going to bite David Tepper in the ass if, let's say, we're a good team next year, and Lord forbid one of our best players ends up going down on a weird play on this janky ass turf. Like, that's a bad look and to your organization. So John, I don't know if you want to answer that, but yeah, to me, the money talks, man.
I have questions about it too, because what I wonder is and maybe y'all can answer this question for me, like, what role does what significance does the turf play? Like, does it have more to do with the Charlotte FC as to the reason why he done that, or is it just a easier transition between events like concerts and all the other things that they host at the bank? Like, is that part of the reason for his logic behind it?
I kind of think so. That's to believe that for the soccer team, for the overall maintenance of the field and the stadium, and again, the ability to roll the turf out to just have the normal concrete when you're setting up a big concert stage, for the all the other big time events that are going to come through Charlotte. It's something definitely needs to be done, because I don't think that you can have the players and the owner be at such an impasse over this one issue that's really important to everyone, because money is at the center of the whole conversation. If you're a player and you get hurt on this terrible turf, that messes up your money, and you might be able to resign somewhere else. Same thing for Tepper, man. He wants to continue to use Bank of America Stadium as an outdoor concert venue. So for that reason alone, I just don't. Even if they change the kind of turf, bro, that turf.
Hey, Cody, man, does that not frustrate you? Like, just think about what you just said. When you got, what is it, the Spectrum Center in town, you got the what used to be the Bojangles Arena. It might be called something different now. I haven't been to any music events in quite some time. But when you think about what you just said about and Tony, I saw Tony in the chat said the events, right? Like, this is what's so frustrating about someone like Tepper, who, I'll be honest with you, in a lot of ways, I champion Tepper for some of the things that he's done, because you can't fault him for trying. You know, when you look at like how long it took Paul Brown to give those guys in Cincinnati an outdoor dome to practice in, you know what I'm saying? Like when they were a consistent playoff team under Marvin Harrison, and then Joe Burrow comes to town, and it's like, well, I got to start doing something to take care of this, and this great investment. Otherwise, this guy might walk out the door. But like, at some point when it's time to be paid. But the point is like, it frustrates me because it's like, yo, keep the main thing, man. Like, is there anything about you that thinks like that it's possible because of so many different revenue streams that are attempted to be created, from this space, from this new team I just bought and all this kind of stuff, that you kind of lose sight on the main thing, which is winning games, because that's going to create the revenue. You know what I'm saying? Like for the Carolina Panthers anyway.
It's like, would you rather make an extra $20 million in concerts, or bring in an extra $30 million, filling out your stadium with Panther fans and bringing home a Super Bowl? Yeah, you might get that $20 million sooner because the Red Hot Chili Peppers are coming to play, but the investment team, I assume he bought this team to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Why else would you buy a football team?
Especially considering where you came from, the rich history of, Pittsburgh. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And they take care of their players. They know the Steelers, the from the front office to the coaching staff, they look after their players, and they don't do it with their words. They do it with their actions. And eventually the Panthers are going to have to be about some more action.
Listen, you preaching, Crow. What's that verse? You praise me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me.
Right, man. That's don't believe who a person says they are.
Right.
But show you that they are.
Exactly.
And that's gonna continue to be true with David Tepper. Locks, I know you gotta go, man. The second part of your question.
So I seen your boy Monty, the one I always get into it with. He tweeted.
Shout out Monty from the 4-man rush. Shout out Monty.
Yeah, he had a tweet that said the Panthers were going to go all in and were willing to trade all their draft picks.
Bro, he was trolling. Dude, Locks, let me tell you, he was trolling. We're in a Panther creator chat, and apparently a bunch of Colts fans were retweeting him because they're like, oh, what are we doing, Colts? And he was in the chat like, man, they believe me. I was like, dude, of course they believe you. Why would they not believe you, man? You're out there pretending you got some insider information or something. But listen, look, who knows what's true with the Panthers? It could very well be true that they love some CJ Stroud and they do want him. But there's also been reports that David Tepper was head over heels for Will Levis. So, man, you can't put any stock, I feel, into any of the stuff that you might hear what the team wants to do, especially in February. Or hell, we're still January, man. Like it's too early for any of that to be confirmed true because they don't know what's going to happen. The combine has to happen, pro days have to happen. A lot of things can happen between now and then. So, yeah. But Monty was trolling people straight up. He was trying to put that energy out into the universe and hope that it comes true. That's what Monty was doing.
I like it.
Okay, yeah, cause I was like, what? I was like, they're willing to trade all their picks, trade up and get CJ Stroud. I feel like if you're gonna make a big deal like that, it has to be like a Trevor Lawrence or like a Andrew Luck type of player. I like CJ Stroud, but I ain't that high on him. But hey, I'm out though. C3.
Max, I appreciate you, dog.
One Carolina John, I'm out. How about y'all?
Lock, my dog. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Locks. You're the man, dog. And
how much time you got left, bro?
I mean, I'll basically go as long as the chat room wants me to go, man.
All right, cool.
I'm over here chilling.
I got about a good 25 minutes left before I got to go pick up my kids, but I want to touch.
So I tell you what, whenever you have to go, that's probably when I'll jump off here.
Bet. All right. So let me ask you a question, man. What's your take? Because I got some bizarre, strong, weird takes. Like they go all over the place when it comes to what we're going to do at quarterback. But I want to get some of your opinion. Like what do you think? Like just in the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about quarterbacks this year, who do you want? And if it's Matt Corral, say it's Matt Corral. I'm cool with that.
I mean, I do want to see Matt Corral. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I don't. If I'm judging based on the talent, I'm an upside guy. I really am. I look at players. Okay, so for example, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. The offense that they were in simply wasn't as an Alabama or an Ohio State was going to be. They have better offensive linemen. They have better receivers. They probably have some better play callers. That pieces available to them. Yet you were still able to see them do some very high level things that have them being talked about with the 9th overall pick. The problem is with me, there isn't a perfect prospect in this year's draft. So Bryce Young, everyone's gonna be hesitant about him being 5'10", 185 pounds, soaking wet. How will his frame stand up to the NFL? I like CJ Stroud, but to me, he's not physically on the level of, say, a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields, a Trey Lance. His physical capabilities they're not as high as those guys, but I don't want to take it away from him. The dude has a live arm. He's able to push the ball accurately all over the field. He throws with nice touch. I do like CJ, but trading up for him, which is probably what you're going to have to do. I don't know about you, John. I don't see Stroud falling all the way to pick number 9 for the Panthers. So, so realistically, unless you're head over heels in love with either Bryce Young or Stroud, the quarterbacks that are in your wheelhouse are going to be Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. And there's just a lot of question marks about both of them. They have the prototypical build, the size. They can run away from you, run over you, jump over you. Like these dudes are some really superior physical prospects. But, Will Levis failed to throw for over 200 yards 6 times this year playing in the SEC. Now, granted, he had a really bad offensive line. So how much of that you can hold against him, I don't know. We'll have to continue to go over the film. Anthony Richardson, I understand why a lot of people compare him to Cam Newton. He can do absolutely everything that you will ever want a quarterback to do. But sometimes his footwork gets away from him, and it causes these wild inaccuracies from him at times. Also, the fact that Anthony Richardson is only a 1-year starter, that's probably going to be concerning to a lot of teams. He hasn't played a lot of football. So, John, that was a very long-winded way of me telling you that right now I'm not sold absolutely on one versus the other. I'll tell you this. If I had to pick between Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, I'm drafting Anthony Richardson.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. So my takes are very similar to yours. I see things. Let me say this to start. I'm more confident now than I ever have been of us drafting one. And the reason is because Frank Reich knows what it looks like. And when I look at guys like take Andy Reid, for instance, me and my nephew were talking about this yesterday. If he's watching, shout out to you, Cameron. But I'm not saying that Donovan McNabb was a bad quarterback, but Andy Reid went to 5 straight NFC championships with him, finally broke through and went to a Super Bowl, did not win that Super Bowl. He was competitive in the AFC with Alex Smith before they got Mahomes. And then when he got Mahomes, now it's just it looks like they could probably win the bowl every year, dang near. And, honestly, I believe that they'll probably pull it out this year. The thing is when a guy is able to coach up a guy that doesn't have the immense amount of talent, what can he do with a guy that is an absolute gamer? And that would be to take him to a complete another level. And so I trust Frank Reich is going to be able to see what he wants and convince, let's just say, for instance, let's say it is AR, right? Let's say they look at, Anthony, one of the things that Anthony does that is better than even CJ Stroud is his response to pressure, because he has that ability to take off running. One of the knocks on CJ Stroud, and I don't really see this as a knock because you do whatever what is important, or what is comfortable to you, if you will, right? So like if you take off running, if I take off running because I'm sensing the pressure, even if it's after my first read, so be it. You got to beat me with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, when you look at that NFC Championship game, there was a play that they showed where Fred Warner was literally, and I'm gonna tell you this shows you the kind of respect that people have for Jalen Hurts. Fred Warner was a statue. I've never seen Luke Kuechly do that. Luke Kuechly is brilliant. Yeah. Fred Warner is a very smart linebacker. But there was a play when he was like kind of reading the end, and he was reading Fred Warner holding the ball, and he finally gave it off to not 14. What's the other guy? Miles Sanders. Finally gave it off to him, and he chunked them for like 10 yards. But Fred Warner didn't move. And the reason is because, look, I got to account for this guy. If this guy takes off, it's over. And so the thing is that with having such a strong RPO presence, it just, especially when all things are working together, like if it's all working together perfectly, it's almost impossible to stop, bro, especially when you have a guy cerebrally as smart as a Jalen Hurts that can operate that system, which, not for nothing, we kind of have a guy on the roster, if he was a little bit bigger and could stay healthy, that kind of does that same.
I'm telling you, man.
So I'm just keeping it a buck. I'm not saying that he's the guy, but I'm just keeping it a buck. But what I will say also is this: I think that if you were to hand, let's just say, for instance, like, if they do move up to go get Stroud, or if they did get Levis or whatever, I think if you hand those guys, because with quarterbacks, man, we all know, bro, it's as much about where you land as anything else. And so I think it's possible that any of these guys could potentially be successful. I think some more than others. Like, I have a different opinion about Bryce. Personally, I'll tell you, if I'm the Bears, hey, Carolina, give me a call if you want Justin Fields. There's no way I'm passing on that.
Man, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would too.
Would you be in favor of that? Now, let's say the Bears were legit getting ready to come off of Justin Fields. And I love Justin Fields during the draft process. I had him as my number 2 ranked player right behind Trevor Lawrence in the entire draft. I would love that. Would you be willing, Justin Fields, if he was available?
It's easy to look at. See, this is the hard part about evaluating Justin Fields, in my opinion, is that it's easy to look at what Jalen is doing when given Devontae, when given AJ, when given Dallas Goedert, when given a strong offensive line, and say like, oh, he could do that. Justin can do that. But nah, because even before having those weapons, like last year, Jalen showed those kind of flashes of his intelligence at the position. Now, I'm not saying that, don't indict me. I'm not saying that Justin is not intelligent, because he is. But what I will say is that in his young career, he struggles with what a lot of young quarterbacks struggle with, and that's seeing the middle of the field. Seeing the edges, especially coming from that Big Ten offense. Like, it's easy to throw outside. So he's just compensating by using his legs because he is very good at it. Now, when he finally figures it out and picks it up, then if he does, it's on. Because he's got the arm strength, he's tough, he's smart. I mean, brilliant kid. You can't look at what he did against us, man, in Clemson, in that Ohio State game that year. What was it? 6 touchdowns?
Man.
Dude,
and I mean, 6
he was
touchdowns. And
bro,
he torched us so bad that game. I was not ready for that, man.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Cody. Even though he didn't make it to the pro level, Skalski was no chump. Like, Skalski is one of the one of the smartest linebackers we've ever had. He's in that Ben Boulware, like hard nose, like very intelligent. And I mean, he was picking him apart. You know what I'm saying? Even to the point where Skalski, hit him and almost took him out of the game. But like, I mean, he carved us up, And so I don't think that you can look at that. I'll tell you this. I think that because Stroud, not for nothing, looking at his tape, he struggles with a lot of the same stuff. He struggles with pressure.
Yeah.
Fields is different because he can use his leg to get out of it. And I think Stroud answers some of those questions against Georgia, but he still wasn't pressured nearly as much as he will be on the next level. And it might be
it was still a small sample size too. Like, he was able to move around well versus Georgia, but really mobility, it's not something you see a lot of on CJ Stroud's tape.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I don't love him as much as I have quarterbacks in the past, because if the pressure does break down on him, at least Justin Fields has the ability to get away from you.
Yes.
Right. Whereas CJ doesn't have that luxury. And he's always going to be more dependent upon the protection in front. And that kind of scares me a little.
I will say this, though, Cody. If I can just kind of, aside here.
Yeah.
The thing with Stroud is he's such a high-level character guy, such a coachable kid. If you go look at, like, I'm kind of giving away, like I said, I got videos lined up and, just trying to get.
Hey, y'all go subscribe to One Carolina, y'all. That's One Carolina.
Yeah.
Hit the subscribe for my man, John.
Thank you. But I got some stuff lined up, man. But he did an interview where he was talking about NIL, and this was before the season, right? And he was talking about, the life-changing, opportunity that it offers. With him, and I think it was him and Bijan Robinson were talking about it in an interview. And just listening to the way that he was talking about, having to navigate now having all this excess, they give you, you just got handed a $600,000 check. Like, what you going to do with that? You know what I'm saying? And listening to how he navigated that before the season and then seeing what happened this season when they were a field goal kick away from beating Georgia, and you could argue they probably win the national championship because they probably would have smoked TCU as well.
Yeah.
And it's like to still, produce at that high level, even after getting an opportunity, the high character that he has, like, it's hard not to look at him and be like, look, man, like, he's got some natural raw talent. And yeah, he might not be, a immediate threat at RPO, but trust me when I tell you, like, a guy like Reich would know what to do and how to tap into his potential and bring the best out of him. So I'm going to tell you, in this draft, personally, I think this draft, when you look back at this draft historically, it's going to be better than a lot of people think it is. Like, there's a lot of people that's like, man, like, like Will Levis, for instance, oh, he a bust. I wouldn't be so quick to say that, man, because like I said, it just depends on where he falls. If he went to Houston,
it's way too early to call any of these.
100%. I agree. I completely agree. Like, I ain't doing that because it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I ain't doing that.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I agree. I would not want to be the quarterback for the Houston Texans, but it appears that either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud is probably going to be doing just that. Listen, great quarterbacks. Shout out to my guy CJA in the chat room. He's the sports nut on Twitter. Very relevant to the conversation that we're having now. Scott Fitterer was asked on drafting a quarterback early.
I think you're right on a lot of that. I think you got to have conviction. If there's a guy in this class that you like, you got to go up and, if you like him, go get him. We're in a position now where we have defense, where we have, an offensive line. We've built around this for this opportunity. So if you have conviction, go get him. If it's not, you don't want to force it. You don't want to take a player, pass on a really good player. That might set you back. But you can't be afraid to take a shot if you believe that's the guy.
All right. So, John, I want to hear what you have to say about that. Let me tell you real quick what I take that to mean. It's better. I basically word. He's not saying that the Panthers are going to do this. However, if through the process they fall in love with one of these guys and they say, okay, I feel like not only does he have all the traits that we want in a quarterback, but I feel like whatever inadequacies they might have, we have the team and we have the coaching staff already in place to build around that player and to grow him. That's another thing that Frank Reichs said during the press conference is that these guys get better. You have to be the right coach and the right staff that's going to help these guys grow as football players. Right now, everyone thinks that Jalen Hurts, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. People did not think that about him last year, around the same time last year. You have to invest in these players and invest in their long-term abilities. So the Panthers, in my opinion, right there, are saying, hey, that off the table. Right. If we're in love with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, they're willing to get them. They believe that they will. But at the very end of it there, I also don't want to gloss over, he said that you don't want to reach either. You don't want to go and be too aggressive. And you want to make sure that that you're drafting the right guy, and that's going to be a process that's going to play out for a bunch of months here now. But John, how did you take that?
Okay, I want to address something real quick that I see in the chat. And I'm only saying this because of something. So Scotty Too Hottie Smith, that is the most awesome handle name, especially as a wrestling fan. He says, and I want you to highlight that. Where's it at? He says, Hurts is an outlier.
That one?
No, he's not. And let me tell you why I say that. Hurts is an example of if you would have given, I want you to think about this. When we drafted Cam Newton, right? Lockout season, you could really say that Cam Newton revolutionized the NFL, and you wouldn't get an argument from me. If somebody came to me and said, yo, Cam revolutionized the NFL, well, then the question would be how? How he did it was because during that lockout season, he couldn't touch a playbook. So what did they do? What did Chud do? Chud called Gene Chizik at Auburn and got his playbook and implemented it in the NFL. What did Cam do? 4,000 yards in his first season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely tore it up, but also tearing it up with his legs, also showing some RPO option, stuff that wasn't around when Michael Vick was around. Can you imagine what Michael Vick looks like in Atlanta with the RPO that they wouldn't run, where he was just literally drawing stuff up in the dirt? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine what RG3 would have looked like if Shanahan would have been like, hey, let's go a little more RPO heavy? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like, even though Kyle Shanahan still made RG3 look great, RG3 with his Olympic speed, and if they'd have built up that offensive line, tell me how you stop it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to me, what this is, in my opinion, is a culmination of when you actually trust a guy and say, you know what, to heck with what they say about what can't work in the NFL, we're going to make it work. That's why Nick Sirianni was getting laughed at in that press conference, and he laughing now because it's like, look, I told y'all what we was going to do. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to bring talented people in, and we're going to dare you to stop us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to dare you to stop us. But to your question, as far, man, I forgot. I kind of went off on that.
No, dude. Hey, we love some tangents here on the C3 podcast. No, just like, what does that mean to you? The words that
Okay, what Scott said.
Just said. Yeah.
It means that he's going to be super aggressive. I think that they're going to do whatever it takes. I want you to think about something, Cody.
Yeah,
because I said something on Twitter this past weekend that got people in an uproar, and even to this day, 10 minutes ago, still getting comments back and forth on this. And I apologize to his brother because I did not want to start something. I really did not. But Cody, who was not in attendance today?
Brian Burns.
Listen. Hey, Chicago, you there? Would you be willing? And look, I know y'all gonna kill me in the chat. That's cool, but I'm just throwing out opinions. I'm not saying anything in stone. I'm not saying it even something that I would want to do. But hey, Chicago. So we got this 9th pick here. We got maybe even a second, and we got this guy 53 that we got to pay. What do you think? And my question to you is this: if they did it, and you believe that Bryce is the next blah, 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 is it too high of a price to pay?
I mean, if they feel... See, here's the problem with that, John. Brian Burns, especially after we let go of Hassan Reddick, which that's a whole nother bag. Hassan Reddick is what the entire discussion. I saw your tweet, and I agree with you. I'm like, say it, John. Say it. It's the truth. But the reason why that gives me pause is because Brian Burns is our primary pass rusher. We already needed another defensive end. I've been a firm believer that the Panthers still need another defensive tackle to go next to Derek Brown. My thing is now if you get rid of Brian Burns, now you're having to replace 2 defensive ends, and you're going to be giving up draft capital. So you'd be giving up Brian Burns, and the draft capital that it would take necessary to be to that number 1 pick. So you're already then limiting your abilities to get more help. One of the reasons that it gives me pause But again, going back to what Fitterer said, and shout out to CJA, he brings this up. We've built ourselves up for the opportunity. And I do agree with what he says. We do have, I mean, I don't know if you agree with this, John. To me, last year, that was one of the better offensive lines in the history of the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely. It's just going to get better.
Yeah.
You want me to tell you? I'm going to tell you why it's going to get better, too, just real quick. And this is one of the reasons why, listen, because I hear what you say, and I think the same thing when it comes to the fear and the concern. I would say concern, not fear. The way that these rookie quarterback situations work, like if you trade up and go get a guy, like it'll set you back, sure, but it ain't gonna be forever. You know, it's not like when you had to pay Sam Bradford, you know, a $100 million contract over, 5 years. When they reset the rookie pay scale, like that kind of changed things, and so it made things a little bit more honest. But man, to me, it's like if you bring in, like for instance, I know one of the things with Bryce is his size. Well, let me tell you why this would be a great place for Bryce. If Bryce went to Houston with DeMeco Ryans, if he takes over as head coach, like you better have a surefire bet at offensive coordinator, because if you're just going to go, straight play action all day long, like, yeah, Bryce will be good, but what can make him great? Is he an RPO threat? No. But the way that Frank Reich orchestrates his offense, he uses a lot of what they call like scat protection, where he drops his or pushes his offensive lineman out wide to create like more visible throwing lanes. If you watch what Bryce does well, it's being able to accurately deliver the ball in places and anticipate pressure. If you've got a guy that can create that with this kind of offensive line, that's why I said earlier in the chat before I even jumped on, I said Frank Reich's principles plus James Campen coaching equals top 5 offensive line this year, in my opinion, especially if they keep everybody comes back healthy. You're talking about a top 5 line this year, in my opinion. So if you were to go grab a guy like Bryce, like, would you lose a lot as far as draft capital and everything like that? Sure. But if you were sure that he's the guy, bro, no price is too high. No price is too high. The reason is because I can always continue to build this team. Think about what Matt Rule said in that Bussin' with the Boys. Man, I would have been more aggressive in free agency. We hadn't done that. So like that's still an option. You see what I'm saying? So like that's why I think if he's your guy, man, no price is too high, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I would personally hope that if that's what they intend to do, Brian Burns, just give him 3 first-round picks. Because I agree with you. 3 years sounds like a lot of not having first-round picks, but it opens up free agency. You're able to do things, especially if free agents feel like, oh, the Panthers have an O-line. They have a dynamic young quarterback. They got the offensive-minded head coach. They got the defense. Man, the Panthers are cooking. I'll definitely go to play in Carolina. So that part I understand. But I just, hearing what he's saying about we've built the opportunity to be able to do this, to me, that means all of the time and effort that they've spent building up the defense and the players that they put on this team. Guys like Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, guys like J.C. Horn. They paid Dante Jackson. There are guys on this team that have made the Panthers one of the most attractive defenses for a coach to coach. So I think that if you do give up Brian Burns, that I hate to say it, the time to do it was last year when the Rams were offering up their first round pick. Hey, real quick, let me read this super chat. One book club with the $4.99. Appreciate you, brother. He says Reich admitedly might have a slight hearing problem. Do you think it'll affect real-time communication back and forth? No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'll ask you a question. Did it affect Phillip? And no disrespect to your question, because it's an honest concern. Did it affect Phillip Rivers helping him go 11-5? Did it affect him being the offensive coordinator when Nick Foles won a Super Bowl? Did it affect Carson Wentz throwing 27 touchdowns to 5 or 6, 7, 8 interceptions or whatever it was that year, even though he struggled towards the end? Like, nah. like I said, no disrespect to your question, because it's a real concern. But no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'd be too much of a problem. And yeah, like you said, they've gotten past it before. But going back to Bryce Young, you know, I will say this. That young man, you know, Brian Burns calls himself Spider-Man.
Hold up. Alex Mack said, did it affect with Matt Ryan?
Yeah, no, it might have. It might have. And, you know, maybe that played a part. You know, maybe him and Matt can't hear too well anymore.
Right. My bad. Go ahead, bro.
No, that 28-3 PTSD, maybe that had Matt not hearing so well anymore. But no, I will say Bryce Young, Brian Burns calls himself Spider-Man. He does the pose and everything. But to me, Young has that spider sense. And that's what makes him such an attractive prospect, is that, yeah, he's small. He's 5'10". You know, there are pictures next to him and Kyler Murray, and Kyler is a little bit bigger than him. He's a little bit thicker than him. And everybody views Kyler Murray as super small. But with that said, he has maybe one of the best prospects I've ever seen at doing this, evading pressure.
Yeah.
This dude knows where the pressure is coming from, and he knows in real time where his pocket has moved to. A lot of quarterbacks, whenever their pocket breaks down, oh shit, time to run, and they're trying to get extra yards. Bryce Young is really good at protecting himself, at moving up into open spaces in the pocket, and putting, you said, in the perfect position. He's a fantastic improviser. He's faster running than you think he is. And you know, he can run away from you. So he does have the ability to do that. It'll just be interesting to see what the Panthers think about him being, you know, 5'10" or 11, 185 pounds. And by the way, he also said that he's hiring a trainer. He's trying to get up to 210 pounds. And maybe that helps him. Yeah. And maybe he is able to do that. But I want to know what they're going to think about his frame. But with that said, dude, Bryce, he has every trait that you want from the quarterback position. He can put the ball right where it needs to be. He sees the open face or the open spaces on the field. He knows how to anticipate where his receivers are going to be in real time. A great touch ball as well. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I'll tell you what. The more I hear from Frank Reich and now Scott Fitterer, I think it's far more likely. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's far more likely that the Panthers are probably going to look to trade up to number 1 or number 3, whatever it takes to get the guy that they're looking at.
I tell you, I just think, and this is no slight on Justin Fields, man. Like it is really not, because I think that Justin going to the right situation can flourish. You know, it may take a little bit longer development time than some others, because he does have some issues with, like I said, with he struggles with anticipation. It's not so much accuracy, because if a guy is, you know, a yard or so off of his target out of a break, like Justin's going to hit him, and he's probably going to hit him in stride. But in the NFL, with the throwing windows being so slight, and then also with DBs playing such tight man, especially in man coverage, like he struggles a lot in man coverage. And that's where anticipation comes in, because you have to anticipate where that guy, when that guy comes out of that cut, comes out of that break, you got to anticipate his body movements, where he's going to turn, what his tendencies are. And those are things that just develop over time in terms of, you know, continuity with his receivers, which, not for nothing, he doesn't really have a great, you know, team of guys to work with. And that's no slight on those guys, but it's just the truth. So, you know, you got to take that into consideration as well. But man, I'm telling you, bro, like as a town, you know, Carolina, we've had the luxury of having you know, an all-world talent at quarterback drafted first overall. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was those same questions about Cam. You know, Cam would dominate games with his legs. You know, he did it to South Carolina, did it to Alabama. And like, we knew that he could, you know, he could throw well, but like there was still, because the difference between when Cam came in, that there was no RPO, you know, there was no coach that was open to, you know, running those kind of systems. It was still a very archaic, you know, running back heavy led NFL, even though Tom was, dominating and Peyton as well with the passing, but over, by and large, it was still that kind of a league. The thing is, though, man, is like when you look at Chicago, like being a team, I don't know if there's any package that anybody could really offer that they would accept, because you're talking about a team that has not had what you would consider up until this point anyway. And I think that, the jury's still out on Justin. Man, we talking about Jim McMahon. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, they haven't had a quarterback in forever.
They've really never had one, because Jim McMahon was good, no doubt, but he wasn't like the force. He wasn't the reason behind the Super Bowl. That
Bears
Payton,
defense,
the defense, Fridge, running in that play at the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, those were the reasons why they won that bowl. He was there. I'm not saying they won in spite of him, because he did help, because I think that's a narrative that sometimes gets pushed like, oh, I can win the Super Bowl with anybody. I used to believe in that. Like, I really did. But then when you go back and look at guys like what Flacco did on his run in that, Ravens Super Bowl, or you go look at what Doug Williams was able to do in the game that he played, in
few and far between.
Yeah. It's Brad Johnson. I mean, what was his name? Sean King. I think he was, the starter.
Didn't Trent Dilfer also win?
Dilfer won with the Ravens. Yeah. But Dilfer played solid, man. In that Super Bowl, leading up to that Super Bowl, I think he hit Shannon Sharp on like, I could be wrong. I would have to look up this stat, but like, it's one of the longest playoff like passes, not passes, but like pass and catch in history. Right. Shannon going down the sideline like 80 some odd yards. But it was still, I mean, it was delivered by Trent Dilfer. So, I mean, that has to be, it has to be appreciated. But like I was saying, man, like, I just personally believe, like, just me, my opinion, if I'm Chicago, like, just put us in that same position. Would you trade that pick? Because I'm going to say absolutely not. I'm drafting that guy. I'm sorry. I'm drafting that kid. I'm sorry. If it was Corral, and Corral was having the same kind of, Corral had the injury, Corral rushed for a ton of yards. Look, I'm putting YB Jordan and all the Corral supporters on the hot seat. If it was all the, because I already know what you're gonna say, so it's cool, and I'm cool with that. I already know what you're gonna say. But if it was all those guys, if it was the same scenario, Matt Corral rushed for all these yards, you see amazing things from him, doesn't have really big supporting cast, but you got what could potentially be an all-world talent sitting right there. Are you trading that pick?
I mean, it comes down to what you believe about the player. So there's a legitimate thing that can be said about Justin. I know you said Matt Corral, but like with Justin Fields, listen, and we know this with Cam. People knocked Cam Newton for his completion percentage all the time and completely disregard that he was throwing the ball to two of the slowest receivers in Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess. Like, these guys are not creating space on their own. So the fact, in my opinion, the fact that his completion percentage was what it was is almost kind of a miracle. You had Ted Ginn dropping passes from time to time, and it was just rough. So I don't ever hold those numbers against Cam Newton like a lot of other people's do. I think the same thing is true for Justin Fields. And if you have a guy, you're never going to know what you have until you build around him. And even though Jalen Hurts saw a progression from year 1 to year 2, I still go back to the thing where nobody, I mean, unless you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan or a Jalen Hurts fan in general, the general consensus about Jalen Hurts at this time last year wasn't that he was some all-world quarterback that is going to take you into a deep playoff push. Like, he was good. People compared him more. People compared him more to Dak Prescott. Now, I think most people are taking Jalen Hurts over Dak Prescott. And you can't also then overlook the fact the amount of talent that they loaded up on that Philadelphia football team.
Absolutely, yes.
They got J. Smith. They got A.J. Brown. They have Dallas Goedert at tight end. They have a running game. They have all that makes a quarterback's life a lot easier. And I'm just inclined to believe that if Justin Fields had that kind of an offense around him, he would be looking way better than he currently does. My final point to that is, I'm going to be real. I don't think can't drop Bryce Young for as good as he is, or CJ Stroud for as good as he is on that Chicago team that still doesn't have a good offensive line, that still doesn't have good receiving talent. I don't know that your results are going to look a lot different than what they were with Justin Fields anyway.
Yeah.
I don't. It all comes down to evaluation.
I don't disagree with that. I just, the thing is, though, is that what you just said right there is not much different than the Trevor Lawrence conversation. I mean, because you put, you plug Trevor Lawrence or the Burrow for that matter. People, one of the things that, revisionist history will tell you, like, oh man, Burrow's got the, perfect situation. Bro, they won 2 games before he got drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was one of the reasons that I always used to kind of give Matt Rule kudos, if you will. Like, and I, please don't kill me for this, but I'm just saying, like, one of the reasons that I used to shoot him some bail is because I'm like, man, like, what was Cincinnati's real plan before that? You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Burrow came out of nowhere, and in that draft, like, what was their real plan? They ended up with the number 1 pick and he fell into their lap. And it's a Cinderella story because it's similar to LeBron going back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no plan really, you know what I'm saying? Other than them just trying to build and sustain, if you will. We got Lamar in this, conference. Ben was still there. Cleveland still had Baker coming off of a playoff run. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Or actually, excuse me, that was the same year. I think it was his rookie season or maybe the second. But regardless, the point is this. Yeah, the point is like there was no real plan there. You know what I'm saying? It just it was happenstance. And you could make a strong argument that some of the play calling, for them is the struggle that Joe Burrow's facing right now. But it's hard to fire a coach when you make it to 2 AFC championships. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess the clarity for us, and this is what I loved about Wilks, and I've often said this, Steve Wilks provided us clarity. He provided the clarity of, hey, we know what we have, we know what we don't have, we know what we need, and we see what can be, what we can add to make us even better. And I do want to, because I'm gonna have to go here in about another 5 minutes, but I do want to ask you a quick question, man, just kind of pivot into that for 1 second. What's your feelings about the Wilks situation, man?
So look, I understand that, and just, speaking honest, because I know you want my honest opinion, there's definitely a race component to this, and black coaches not being given the chances that white coaches typically do. And far be it from me to tell anyone, especially a person of color who believes that, far be it from me to tell them that they're wrong.
Right.
What I will say is that him being a defensive coach and not winning that Tampa game, I feel like most of all, those are the 2 things that did him in.
I agree.
The fact that we didn't make it to the playoffs, and the fact that in the Carolina Panthers' entire history, we have never had an offensive-minded head coach. And this is an organization that for the past few years has been the ways in which it does things, especially on offense, and the results have been floundering ever since. Like, it has not been good. This constant rotation of offensive coordinators that the Carolina Panthers have gone through, it doesn't seem like, even if you hired Steve Wilks, it doesn't seem like that trend would change anytime soon. Because even if you did have a good offensive coordinator and you did have a good offense, well, they're out the door the very next year as soon as they get a little bit of success. And then you're constantly having to do this turnaround.
Yeah.
And, look at Kyle Shanahan right now. He's an offensive-minded head coach. And yet they have one of the very best defenses in the NFL with that 49er defense. So I think that it's much easier to get an offensive-minded coach that has the ability to field a prolific offense and defense rather than the vice versa.
Yeah.
My final thing is I do feel bad for Steve, man. How do you not feel bad for Steve?
I agree. Yeah.
We're going to show to the world that he has the opportunity to be a legitimate long-term head coach if he's never given the opportunity. Yeah, sure, his acumen and his pedigree wasn't as high as someone like Frank Reich, but if he never had the opportunity to have that kind of resume, you can't hold it against him, man.
Right, that's a good point.
And the fact that he was from Charlotte, went to West Charlotte, has been with this Panther team. When we went to the Super Bowl in 2015, the players loved him. The fans loved him. I feel bad for him, man. My heart goes out to him. I wish him nothing but the best and continued success. And I hope it gets that opportunity one day to show what he's made of.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think everything you said was excellent, man. I think two things can be true. I heard you say that on the day that we hired Frank Reich. I was watching. I think it was before. I can't remember if it was on your Tuesday that same day. I can't remember exactly, but I remember you saying the exact same phrase that two things can be true. We can look at Steve Wilks and look at the job that he done and say that this was something that he probably, you could argue, deserved, but you could also look at the fact that, if I'm a new owner taking over this team, and we've never had an offensive coach, and I see what the league is doing right now, me personally, I love the Frank Reich situation. I was really caping for Ben Johnson, and many people that follow my show know, because I went to high school with Ben Johnson, and so I was really excited about the potential for him being the coach, because it's like, man, to see a guy that I went to school with, his dad was my high school principal. You know what I'm saying? And so
that's the Lions OC. Right?
Yeah, the Lions OC.
Yeah, okay.
And so that would have it would have made me geeked, but at the same time, it would have been tough for me, because it's like, if I see something I don't like, it would have bend hard for me to be objective, because I'm like, man, that's home team, man. I can't, you know what I'm saying? That's just like, it was hard for me to make that tweet about, Brian Burns and in context, 3-4-4-3 edge and linebacker. It's an apples and oranges comparison, but it was still applicable in that moment when you seen him wrecking that game. But the point is I think that Wilks, like I said, he provided clarity for the Panthers. I think he set a tone for this franchise. And I think if he goes on in a similar fashion to how people look at Tony Dungy, for instance, Tony Dungy, or even Mark Jackson, in a whole nother sport, for example, Steve Kerr comes in and they implement, defense, and they, when my guy David Lee got hurt, and then Draymond takes over, and then he sees all the success, but that team was built, the vision for that team was built by Mark Jackson. Similarly to when Tampa, won their Super Bowl with Gruden, a lot of people was like, oh yeah, that's Dungy's team. Barry Switzer with Jimmy Johnson's team. I think if this team goes on, not necessarily to win a Super Bowl next year, but has an immense amount of success, his imprint is still going to be there. You know what I'm saying? So he'll forever be a legend here for that, if it's built, if it continues, you know what I'm saying, to be success on top of what he showed you can happen with this team. And not for nothing, if that were to happen, I think that bodes well for him getting a job as a head coach further down the road. It would have been a storybook situation to see him get it with the Panthers. But, if nothing else, I'd love to just see him have an opportunity as a head coach, period.
Yeah, I would love to see him get that opportunity. I certainly hope he does. Shout out to Neville Corleone with the 199. Says, what y'all think about Cunningham from Louisville?
You probably know better than me, bro. I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, ditto. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Man, hold up. Look, where my sound machine at, man? Hold on. Did this man say Louisville, as in the college Louisville?
I believe so, man. This man, he said Louisville.
This man said Louisville, like we not Clemson fans. What you talking about,
man?
Let's
go.
Y'all, dog. What's up?
We all land over here, baby. We all land over here, dog. What you mean?
Nah.
Man. This is
why
I love you, John, because I'm on a podcast with like a bunch of Clemson haters and people that love to just give me trash over my Clemson fandom. Like I got a partner when you're here with me, man. Let's go.
Let's go.
We need to. And hey, you know what? If we don't draft a quarterback, I'm telling you, Brian Brissett might be my pick. I'm telling you, Brian Brissett might be my pick if the Panthers don't draft a quarterback. I've been saying forever, we need another defensive tackle. Yep. We need another defensive tackle to go next to Derek Brown. Not only for just the health of our overall D-line, but you're going to see the best out of Derek Brown once we finally do get another guy that can pass rush, that can eat up some double teams, that can do those kinds of things. So, yeah, man.
Man, I can stay on here all day with you, Cody. I got to go get my kids, bro, man. It has been an absolute pleasure. I love you guys' show, man. I have always been a huge fan. You, Tony, CK, Greg, man, y'all are some of the best parts of my week. Each week, stopping to listen to you guys, man. And man, I can't tell you how proud I am of you guys, and how far the show has come, and how much more you're going to grow. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. I see a lot of you guys, a lot of you guys as fans have become, or I wouldn't say fans, but, like members, people that, fans of the team, not necessarily of our channels, but fans of the team. Cause I'm a fan myself, I'm not anybody, or whatever, but like, it is cool to see, so many of those people kind of in community with myself, with all the other creators, man. And it's just, it's dope, man. But you guys have a special place in my heart, man. So I'm always glad to come on and chop it up with you.
Love you, Big John. I definitely appreciate
Likewise,
the kind of words.
Yeah,
absolutely. And hey, if y'all have not done so already, what are you doing with your life, man? Go search One Carolina on YouTube and show that C3 love to my man John, man. Hey, one of the things I've been saying for all Panther content creators, man, I really do. I believe, especially in YouTube and in today's world, the rising tide lifts all boats. There's no reason why we all can't have success talking about our favorite football team, man. So, yes, John, I so much appreciate you coming on. You've definitely helped the conversation. Some great points. Yeah, man. Anything you want to plug everything that you got to plug before you get out of here, man.
Man, listen, nothing to plug, man. I love the Carolina Panthers. I love y'all. Y'all know my tagline at the end: keep positivity in your mind, Christ in your hearts, and keep pounding.
Hey, keep pounding. Appreciate you, John.
Yes,
appreciate you, my brother. Man, shout out to Big John from One Carolina. Love that dude, man. Love that dude. Always makes for a great discussion. With the 199 says, I'm not against Clemson. I'm for real. He's just being objective. Nah, we're just playing with you. We appreciate you, bro. But yeah, man, that was it. Y'all have now heard from Frank Reich. You've heard my opinions on the matter. You've heard John's opinion on the matter. White Chocolate came in. Panther Pickle came in. I'm excited. Really excited. I think the future is bright for the Carolina Panthers. I'm not just being a homer and saying that. I really do feel like the Panthers are doing something new. And personally, I hope Frank Reich calls plays. If I'm being very real, I think no matter who the offensive coordinator is, it's time that we had a coach that is so in control of the offense that he's the one calling plays. And Frank Reich wants to do it. You heard him in the press conference. He enjoys doing it. He feels like he's good at doing it. And I think that's going to help him form a better relationship with whoever the quarterback ends up being, man. Whether it be Matt Corral or Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I just think that's going to be better for the overall health and future success of the Carolina Panthers, man. So I'm pumped. I love that the Panther players were in attendance as well. Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin, Ikem Ekwonu, Austin Corbett, I believe, Brady Christensen. Like these boys feel like they have something to build on. Like they have something that's right around the corner for them. And like my man Choppy says, I smell a Super Bowl coming soon. Keep pounding, you dig? What's up, man? I love it. I love it. I love it. I feel like the Panthers are on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, that's probably going to be it for your boy for this afternoon. But don't worry. You're not even going to go 24 hours without hearing from us again tonight. Me, Tony Dunn, Greg the Bat Daddy, CK, the voice that makes them moist. We'll be going back live at 9 o'clock for another edition of the C3 Panthers Podcast. We'll be breaking down all the news, all the info, all the ins and outs, because that's what we do, baby. And you already know what we're going to do. We're going to keep pounding. Peace and love.